World Series odds right now. The Padres have the 8th shortest odds to win the World Series, 14-1. So it's not like they're completely buried. It just feels like they're getting. The other teams maybe are creating some separation this offseason, is what it feels like to me.
Catcher, the corner outfield, and starting pitching. Those are the three obvious needs of this team.
Now, time for Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? It is hour one, Jon and Jim. It is a loaded show. The return of our Padres insider, Kevin Acee.
He's back.
At 3 p.m. Grant Paulson, MLB Network Radio at 3:35. Will Brinson, NFL insider, will join us at 4 p.m. And there is developing news out of the baseball winter meetings at this hour. Roki Sasaki's agent, Joel Wolfe, has spoken on Roki Sasaki. He was officially posted yesterday, Jim, and there's so much to react to in addition to Roki Sasaki. We'll get into the possibilities of Dylan Cease being dealt. It all confirms what we've said for weeks on end. The budget is an issue. The CBT number is real, and the Padres have decisions to make. But we should start with Roki Sasaki. We'll hear from Joel Wolfe. You know Joel Wolfe, right, Jim?
He's like my best friend.
Okay, so Joel Wolfe held court. He's the agent, the U.S. agent for Roki Sasaki.
It was like a Scott Boras type of thing.
But not as cool, I thought.
No,
he wasn't the greatest quote, I didn't think.
He said some things that we'll hear that I'm like,
oh yeah, he said some interesting things.
Now, Scott Boras is just the most complete over-the-top person on the planet when it comes to these types of press conferences. And it's funny because I when I went to the winter meetings back in, I think, was it 2017? It was in Orlando. And it was my first experience at the winter meetings. You were there?
I was there.
Seriously?
I was there. Was it before the 2017 season or after?
It was the offseason that the Yankees got Giancarlo Stanton.
Might not have been there.
It was the offseason that they signed Eric Hosmer.
No, I wasn't there.
Okay.
Yeah. How was that? The Swan and the Dolphin? Yeah.
The Swan and the Dolphin.
I've been to the winter meetings in Orlando. Just not that version of it.
Okay. But experiencing a Scott Boras press conference for the first time at my first winter meetings.
Oh,
was a trip.
It's a trip.
I'm like, what is happening?
How about the scrum? How the people follow for that moment, as he walks out.
And I was right in the front of that scrum. Yeah. I remember.
Yes.
And I'm videotaping him. Yes. And I didn't even realize how deep it was behind me.
So many
12,
people.
13 people deep.
Everyone wants to cover it. Okay, so this was a big deal, obviously, because Roki Sasaki is the number one international prospect. Every team thinks they have a shot. Most teams think they have a shot. So Joe Wolfe represents Roki Sasaki. He was posted yesterday. This starts with a conversation about the Padres. I think about 30 or 40 seconds in when he gets interrupted, it kind of turns maybe to the Dodgers a little bit. But just listen to this in its entirety on Roki Sasaki from his agent, Joe Wolfe.
Joel, considering his admiration for you, Darvish, relationship potentially with you, how would a team like, say, the San Diego Padres fit as a suitor?
I would assume that would be a team that he would seriously consider, but his relationship with Darvish is private between the two of them, and how much that will weigh on his decision making, we'll have to find out.
How open would he be to be playing with some of his former WBC teammates, whether it be Darvish or Yamamoto or something like that?
That's a good question. Just a few years ago when I was representing Senga, one of the questions we heard from many teams, and then I heard again with Yamamoto, was it an obstacle to signing the player by having other Japanese players on the team, or was it an attraction? And it's different for every single player.
Okay. So he also went on to say, he went on to say that the idea of having a mentor, a Japanese mentor, could be compelling, but not necessarily. He could be convinced either way. It doesn't have to have a Japanese mentor on the team. And Japanese players, I've said this repeatedly, Japanese players have different feelings on this. Some would prefer to play with other Japanese players. Others would prefer not to. Mm-hmm. Almost as a prideful thing, not to step on the legacy or what the other players are doing. But I feel like with Darvish, it makes sense because he's been referred to as a godfather and because Darvish is on his way out. Mm-hmm. So you wouldn't play with Darvish for 6 years. You play with him for a year or two. But I mean, he says he would assume that he would seriously consider San Diego. That's what he said.
Yeah.
That's a good sign.
Very good sign. You like hearing that. And it's one of those things where the hopes now for Roki Sasaki are so high for Padres fans here in San Diego that, like, I will continue to say until he signs somewhere, like, you better land this guy.
Yeah.
I mean, with what Shildt said yesterday, which I want to ask Kevin about too, because Kevin tried to downplay that yesterday in his article, saying that like, oh, it's a Shiltism, like,
because he's an eternal optimist.
Like, yeah, Kevin. I mean, at some point, like, I can't make an excuse for somebody because they're just like, that's just the way they speak,
Well, are you saying that he spoke he shouldn't have said what he said, is basically what you're saying, because he doesn't know anything more than we know?
I think what Kevin is saying is that, oh, don't read too much into it. That's just Shildt being Shildt. And I'm saying, well, like, what do you think fans are going to think when they hear that?
True.
They aren't going to just sit there and be like, oh, it's just Shildt being Shildt.
Right.
Like, no. They hear the manager of their team say, we expect to have Roki Sasaki in a Padres uniform next year. Guess what that's going to do? That's going to create a belief in the fan base that you are going to land Roki Sasaki. So, yeah, I thought it was out of turn. I thought it wasn't a good thing for him to say, because I feel like there's even people in that organization that don't think they're going to get Roki Sasaki. And I'm not going to do it as put it as a one-off, like, oh, it's just Shildt being Shildt. Like, but no way.
True, but I think that actually does kind of speak to what Kevin is saying, is the reason you downplay it is because he doesn't represent the organization in the front office. So, like, the same thing we kind of said yesterday, which is, do we think Shildt knows anything? And we both were like, no, probably not. So that's why I would downplay the comments. I agree. He's leading people down a path that would lead them to believe that Roki Sasaki, he said the Padres expect to land Roki Sasaki. I'm talking about Mike Shildt. But he spoke out of turn.
Mm-hmm. Now, the other thing that his agent said today, I don't know if we have that in the rundown, where he talked about the media coverage from Japan. And he talked about how he wants to have a soft landing spot somewhere. I thought that was very, very interesting.
Wolf says that a smaller market with a smaller media pool, San Diego, might be more to Sasaki's liking. He also said that Sasaki doesn't need a team with a Japanese mentor or be on the West Coast. So it's like you're checking some of the boxes. This is a mid-market. We can all agree on that. It's not Los Angeles or New York, and that's a good thing. But if he doesn't have to have a Japanese mentor, that means he doesn't have to have Yu Darvish. If he doesn't have to be on the West Coast, it means he doesn't have to be in San Diego. So it's like checking some of the box. What Wolf's job is to leave this thing completely wide open, right? Like, Wolf's job is not to box in his client. This guy's job, Joel Wolf, is to allow his client to make a decision that's best for him. Now, it's not going to be a monetary decision, because the difference in the Cardinals and the Padres is going to be like a couple $100,000, or the difference between the Padres and the Dodgers is going to be like $1 million. So whatever the reason is what the reason is going to be. But he's not going to box in his client and be like, yeah, he's down to LA and San Diego. He hasn't done that. And that clearly was the case here today.
And he also mentioned that the soft landing for a small market team, because of the criticism from the Japanese media during his time in professional baseball. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, bro, I will never say a bad thing about you ever. Yeah, right. I will never go to a press conference for you. I will never ruin anything for you, bro. We're staying out of this. This is the softest media market you possibly could go to.
Yeah, until it's March 29th and he goes 2 2/3 innings, the last 7 runs against San Francisco's BS offense.
Nope. I mean,
yes.
You think Kevin's hard hitting? AJ, Dennis, like Bernie just retired? Bro, you are good to go.
But don't listen to us, because we're going to tell it how it is.
Not with Roki.
But listen, is there a difference in the coverage of the Padres and the Dodgers in the market? Yeah. Completely. Is there a difference between the Mets and the Yankees and the Padres? Yeah. I mean, there's only a few people, you're right, that for their job cover the San Diego Padres day in and day out. By the way, we're on the list. I mean, there's very few people in this market that spend as much time on the Padres as me and you. People like Kevin Acee, obviously Dennis. I mean, they have different jobs as beat writers or as journalists or, writers. But there's very few people that cover the Padres, so maybe that is advantageous for Roki Sasaki. I don't know what it's going to come down to, dude. I do know this. Preller has scouted him since he was 17 years of age. I heard what Mike Shildt said yesterday. I just heard what the agent said today. Nothing that has been said over the last 24 hours since it's been posted leads me down a path where it's not possible for the Padres. I'm not saying it's likely, but I think I'd be very surprised if when push came to shove and at the end of the day, they weren't like a finalist. Like if it came down to 2 teams, I feel like the Padres would be among the 2 teams. If it came down to 3 teams, that's where I'm going with it. That doesn't mean they're going to land them, but I feel like we're going to be hearing a lot more about Sasaki and the Padres in the weeks ahead.
Alex Silva on our YouTube chat says, Darvish has already warned Sasaki about Jim. Another from Canis Lupus says, we are so soft. Yes, we are so soft here. We will not only
So soft.
Until
you start 0-2 with a 9 ERA.
Yeah. But before that, bro, we'll lay out the red carpet for you. We will never criticize you up front.
How quickly would we be canceled if like his agent came out and said like, some of the local media and like referenced us by name was like has been really critical. And he wanted to go somewhere more positive.
What if they just mention your name and he's like, that guy that talked crap about Shohei? It's not Jim that he remembers. It's you.
Could you imagine?
Public enemy number 1 in Japan, John Schaefer.
They're like, yeah, I saw a local media member there criticizing Shohei Ohtani a couple of years ago, and I didn't want to be a part of that whole entire media circus.
While wearing like,
could you imagine, dude? That would be my worst nightmare. I if I saw a quote,
right,
or saw a report say, sources say that one of the main reasons why Roki Sasaki didn't choose San Diego was because of a local media member criticizing Shohei Ohtani in the past couple years.
I would probably look at another job at that point.
I would definitely look for one as well. Probably.
I guess it's a possibility based on what Joel Wolf had to say about looking for a smaller size market that's not as critical.
Fire us or land Roki Sasaki.
One or the other.
The choice is easy.
Yeah. All right. Is Dylan Cease on his way out the door? As the Padres payroll comes into focus, there is a lot to discuss regarding Dylan Cease moving forward from the baseball winter meetings. Plus, Kevin Acee will join us at 3 p.m. Our Padres Insider. Grant Paulson, MLB Network Radio in the 3 o'clock hour as well. We have Holiday Bowl tickets to give away, Jerry Seinfeld tickets to give away. It's Jon and Jim. Join San Diego Sports 760, ESET, SeaWorld, and Sesame Place to support Rady Children's Hospital this holiday season. Your stories of hope and healing from Rady Children's patients and families during the iHeart Rady Children's Give-a-thon, supported by ESET, your digital guardians. Make a donation today by texting KGB 51555 or donate at radyfoundation.org/give-a-thon. Listen tomorrow and Thursday. Before we get to the latest on Dylan Cease, I saw this from Derek Gould, who covers the Cardinals. Have you seen this? The limited group of teams Cardinals are talking to about Nolan Arenado continues to emerge during the winter meetings. Yankees, Red Sox, Padres.
Oh, I knew you were going to say it.
Among the conversations, Astros a potential fit too, pending Alex Bregman decision. Updates here. That's his article. But he lists the Padres among a series of teams that the Cardinals have spoken with.
Okay.
Related to Nolan Arenado. Get older, right?
Get older?
Yeah.
And have to potentially take on more money?
Makes no sense.
Makes no sense.
Makes no sense. I completely agree. Then there was this earlier today, and there was a lot going on, obviously, at the winter meetings. But the market for Dylan Cease, Kevin Acee reporting, and he's going to join us coming up in 40 minutes. And he was the first to report it, that the Padres are exploring the possibility of trading Dylan Cease this offseason. And you say, well, what are we talking about? Top 5 in Cy Young. They just traded for him, young pitcher, under control through 2025. But it's not it's not Juan Soto, but it's the same spot that they were in. He's going to hit free agency. He's going to make decent money. They're up against the CBT number that we'll talk about moving forward this hour as well. So where do you turn? We said that yesterday. We literally looked at ourselves, me and you looked at each other dumbfounded, like, well, what do you do? Cease, trade? Arise, trade? Not sign Profar? What do you do with King? I mean, some shoe is going to have to drop for them to stay under the CBT. Is it going to be Dylan Cease? Does that make any sense whatsoever?
Here's the problem with the trade Dylan Cease theory and the trade Dylan Cease like path that potentially could go down is you're not trading Dylan Cease to get better. You're trading Dylan Cease because you have to get a budget. Like you have to trade him to get at a number that is financially what you want. That shouldn't be at all the reason why you're trading Dylan Cease. And I hate it. I hate it. Your goal is to be making moves to become a better baseball team.
Mm-hmm.
But you're making these moves, or they haven't made a move, obviously.
Sure.
But, these moves are being discussed, not because these moves make you a better baseball team next year. It's because the organization now, under whoever's the owner, Eric Casenda or whoever, has put parameters on the front office to get to a number. And that's unfortunate. I hate it. I don't like it at all. They are in a window right now where it feels like they're close, especially with what happened last year. And with being that close, the perception of being that close, and you're not doing everything in your power to make sure that you get over that hump in this moment in time, and you're more concerned about staying under that threshold, the CBT threshold, because that's a number that, you can't go over because you can't pay this money and this and that. That's very disappointing to me.
One thing is clear. This is no longer Peter Seidler's Padres. We know he's passed, but the family still is in some level of control. Obviously, it's not like the club has been sold. We have no idea what their future is. We know they have a new chairperson, but this is all different. I mean, I read Kevin, and he writes this. One source said there is, quote unquote, no scenario in which the Padres exceed the competitive balance tax, CBT, which is $241 million. Guess what? You know where they are right now? $244. So if there's no scenario they're going over, and they're already over, what on earth are they going to do? You know what they're going to do? They're going to consider trading someone like Dylan Cease. Mm-hmm. They're going to consider trading someone like Luis Ariz. They'll be listening on Michael King. Now, they're not going to make all these moves, but someone's going to likely go. I saw John Morosi tweet within the last 30 minutes that who was the team that would be a suitor? Red Sox would be a suitor. I mean, this is like real. I mean, the Red Sox are among the teams with interest in Dylan Cease. That's John Morosi at the winter meetings 40 minutes ago.
Cool. You get a couple prospects, probably a high-ranked prospect in whoever's organization. Great. Does that help you win next year? Like we talk about all the time on this show, worry about the year that's in front of you. We don't really think too much ahead We want to win now. And does that help you win now? Now, their job in that front office is to think about, obviously, years, 2, 3, 4, 5 down the line.
Yeah, there's like a whiteboard that says 2026 on it too.
Absolutely.
That's their job.
Yeah, that's their job.
Yeah.
And I get that. But most fans don't think about that. Most fans aren't sitting there and be like, man, can't wait till 2027 hits. Now, a couple years ago, that might be the case, like in the 2010s, because all you had to think about was the prospects coming through the organization. Definitely. But that's not where this organization is at right now. They are not at a spot where they have all these top prospects. I mean, they have a couple top prospects for sure in DeVries and Salas, but not like in the 2010s where we were all sitting here being like, man, wait until 2022.
Hot talent lava. No, it's you got to win now because of the contracts you have to these players that are aging and the window that you're in, because you're not going to keep Cease or King together for the foreseeable future. You might not even have them for next year together because of the money issues that the Padres, not money issues, but the parameters that they have given this front office to get to. Said the day the season ended that they're going to have payroll issues because we did the math. Mm-hmm. We said Profar is going to make more. Cease is going to make more. Arise is going to make more. And people wanted, no. They made the NLDS and they're really good and they draw a lot of fans. All true. They were, but at the end of the day, it's like they're running a business now, and they're going to run it the way they deem appropriate. Right, wrong, indifferent. Peter Seiler said, Excel spreadsheet be damned.
Yeah.
And I don't know what they're saying. I haven't heard from them. I can't assure that they're not going to go over, but when Kevin Acee says there's no scenario from a source that they're going over, I take that on its face. Yeah. And we'll have Kevin on with us in 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's just very disheartening that you are in a position to win now and you were close last year. And all the fans care about is what are you doing as an organization to get better? What are you doing as a team to add talent to the major league roster, to sign talent back, to maneuver around to make sure that next year's team is better than last year's team and has a chance to win a World Series?
Mm-hmm.
And when that's not the very first thing on the whiteboard of whoever the owner of this team is, and instead it's how do we get the number down to this? Well, that's not something fans want to hear. And by the way, Eric Casenda, like, bro, you realize without doing anything yet, you have got the little reputation of fans going at you of Eric Cut Spenda. Like,
and you're crunching numbers.
Like, that is your nickname now until proven otherwise.
Yeah, no, it's a fair point. And by the way, everything you just said, you also have to look at it through the prism or backdrop of the LA Dodgers won the World Series.
Yeah, that's also a problem too.
And went through you to do it.
Yeah.
It's a part of the story. On the other side, more from Joel Wolf, the agent of Roki Sasaki, on a potential, soft landing spot?
Yeah.
Potentially for Sasaki. Plus,
we got one for you.
We'll look deeper into the Padres' financial issues heading into 2025. Plus, Kevin Acee will join us at 3. It's Jon and Jim.
This update is brought to you by Toyota Carlsbad. Relaxed and friendly since 1972. We'll start with San Diego State football. Their conference schedule came out earlier this afternoon. Home games on their schedule next year in conference will be Colorado State, San Jose State, Wyoming, and Boise State. Tomorrow night is the MLS expansion draft for San Diego FC. 7:30 is when the expansion draft will begin. And San Diego State basketball takes on Cal Baptist tomorrow night at 7 p.m. right here on San Diego Sports 760. Hurry in today to Toyota Carlsbad for big savings on new Toyotas during Toyotathon. Save with low APR financing or lease specials. Not all buyers qualify. Limited terms on approved credit. Offer ends 1/6/2025. Details at toyotacarlsbad.com.
All right, so is Dylan Cease on the trade market or not? AJ Preller is scheduled to meet with the media, is he not? This afternoon?
3 o'clock hour. So I think it might be right after we talk about
Okay, we'll speak to Kevin at 3. He said he was available just after 3 p.m., Kevin. So we will connect with Kevin. You're thinking that Preller might be speaking after 3 p.m. Pacific?
I saw
or
it
was it
somewhere.
3 o'clock in Dallas?
Oh, you're maybe right about that.
But if it was 3 o'clock in Dallas, that's actually already happened. They're 2 hours ahead of us.
Let me check here.
He's speaking today, right?
Yeah. So he was on MLB Network about 40 minutes ago.
Did he say anything?
Probably not.
He never says
He's making the
anything.
rounds right now is basically
Okay.
what I'm seeing.
If he says anything of substance, we will bring it to you first right here on Jon and Jim. Let's hear more from Joe Wolf. So Joe Wolf represents Roki Sasaki, #1 international prospect in the world. What's this in reference to? Where he wants to pitch or the media coverage of the team?
This is Joe Wolf on a small market team, going to a small market team, and how Roki would view doing that.
Okay. Hold on. We'll find that sound because there's a couple of pieces from Joe Wolf. Let us know if and when you have it.
This is the media one.
The media one, Jim?
Yes, Roki's agent on the media.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
You mentioned Roki's former teammates with the WBC. How important is comfortability for Roki in his decision?
I don't know yet, to be honest. Roki's had a tough go of it the last couple of years. The media in Japan, not the Japanese media based here, I want to clarify that, but the media in Japan has been very tough on him. And he's not had a great time with it. And I think it's my personal opinion. I think it's been a bit unfair. And it's affected him mentally a little bit. But he's a great kid and comes from a great family. I know his mother and his brother. And his dream is to come here to the major leagues. And I think that he hasn't really wrapped his head around the individual teams and the individual cities, and he just really doesn't know much about them. Most of the Japanese players don't because they don't get the opportunity to come here. He was here for a very small amount of time because he was fortunate enough to play in the WBC, but that was a very small glimpse of it. So it's really hard to say until I sit down with him and talk to him about it.
That's the first time I'd heard that sound. The one thing I thought when he was saying, I'm like, is that at all concerning that he's been affected, per his agent Joe Wolf, based on the criticism levied by the Japanese media? It's only going to get tougher here. I don't care where you land. And also, is that kind of a disqualifier for the New Yorks and the LAs? If you thought it was tough there, wait till you get to Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And they're writing columns about your ineffectiveness 2 weeks into the season.
Yeah, Jim Bowden said earlier today that the Mets will be heavily in as well on Roki Sasaki.
They have the money. They got the $7 million.
Well, it's not about money here, but it's and I hear that soundbite, and I'm like, then there's no way he goes to LA or New York.
Hope he doesn't know English because the New York Post back page is going to be tough on him.
Yeah, very tough.
Yeah.
Like you better and now with the Mets firmly in like the spotlight of baseball over, maybe even the Yankees, just because what they did with Juan Soto now. every eye will be on you. I'm sure that they will have the max amount of national televised games next year. I'm sure that you'll have the max amount of media coverage because it's you're covering a team and you're watching a team with the highest priced player in the history of professional sports on it. But I can just say this. It's cush here, man. It is a cush landing here in San Diego.
Relatively speaking,
you don't need to really worry about any. I mean,
just don't go to Yahoo Japan and see what I said about it.
Yeah, never search out John Schaefer and Shohei Ohtani in the same Google search. But what I can say is, me and you have been to multiple press conferences, scrums in the dugout. You're good, bro. There's nobody down there to fear. Trust us. Kevin's good. Dennis is good. AJ's good. Marty's good. We're all good here. All good. Don't worry about it. I might ruin a press conference or two because the back of my head, but
you will.
Other than that, no one's going to be criticizing you here, bro.
But I find it interesting that a 23-year-old that's posted a 2 ERA in his career has been affected negatively by the treatment that he has received per his agent in Japan. Don't you find that a little interesting?
Dude, you had a mental breakdown when Yahoo Japan.
I did. But only for 2 days.
Yeah, still.
I've recovered nicely.
You've never forgot about it,
and I'm also in my 40s.
Yes.
I mean, okay, the last couple of years he's been treated unfairly. He had a 1.88 in 23. What were they saying?
Now, has he won a championship? I don't know. I haven't looked.
I mean, who knows?
Well, when you don't win a championship, sometimes people are critical of you if you're you can't win the big one.
I mean, are all the Chibalote fans this is a joke? I don't know. I really don't know. But but again, if his overall point is he's been treated unfairly by the media, wait till you get to America. The job of the American media is to treat you unfairly.
Well, again, yes. Nationally, yes.
Yeah.
But, if
I see what you're saying. Locally, it's different story.
Locally, it's different.
Yeah.
Locally, it's
you're
different.
Saying in Philadelphia, it's different than St. Louis.
Why do you think now the DH was a huge factor in his decision, but Shohei going to the Angels, he's in the biggest market, but he's out of sight, out of mind. No one's there. Nobody is criticizing him on the Angels. If anything, they're saying the Angels suck and you're amazing. That was a cush landing spot for Shohei. Now, other players like Yamamoto going to LA, that's not really a cush landing spot. Seiya Suzuki in Chicago, not really a cush. By the way, Seiya Suzuki's wanted to get out because he feels like the team kind of lied to him about, not being the DH for the team. That's interesting. But here in San Diego, I mean, everything that his agent said today, I'm just thinking to myself, that's San Diego? Yeah, don't worry, we're soft here.
Not all of them. Because he said he doesn't need a Japanese mentor, although he didn't rule it out. He also said he didn't need to be in the West, although he didn't rule it out. If it's just a mid-market team, there are other mid-market teams too that are successful.
Correct.
The St. Louis's, the Milwaukee's. I mean, I could give you others that are successful. So it comes down to, what do you want?
What does he want? Yeah.
And can they check those boxes? I would say by and large, the Padres over the last 5 years would check the boxes of we're in it to win. We're committed to spending. We've won at a high enough level, but are they fully committed to spending? What does their future look like over the next 6 years? You tell me. I mean, are the Padres among the top 5 position teams over his next 6 years in baseball?
Well, what they can present to Roki is we have a Hall of Famer in Manny Machado. We have an up-and-coming superstar in Jackson Merrill. We have, when healthy, one of the most dynamic players in the game in Fernando Tatis Jr. We have a great clubhouse guy, great clubhouse guys in Joe Musgrove and Xander Bogaerts. We have Darvish here to take you under his wing to start out with, some guy that would be perfect for him to use as a mentor. We have a manager that is always going to back you 1,000%. He is the most positive person on the planet. He will say in the media.
Yeah, he'll never be critical of you.
Never will be critical of any of one of his players ever. And AJ Preller speaks Japanese.
Perfect. Deal's done. Get this thing done. Sign on the bottom line for $6 million. All right. Back to the Padres' financial issues. Is there some relief on the way? We have the latest there. Plus, Kevin Acee will join us just after 3 p.m. from Dallas at the 2024 baseball winter meeting. So the latest from Kevin on site coming up in just 15 minutes. Plus, we've got Holiday Bowl tickets to give away. Don't go anywhere. Jon and Jim. Catch Aztecs tomorrow night. We'll take on Cal Baptist. Pre-game begins at 6. Ted Leonard has the tip at 7 right here in the home of the Aztecs. San Diego Sports 760. Good to have the show most of football coach in this conversation. Check it out, sportsfc.com, iHeartRadio app, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, or Spotify. Now, Kevin Acee will join us in 10 minutes. Just past 10 minutes. Max Fried has signed a deal with the Yankees. So breaking news, Max Fried, I think this is, if they are going to actually trade Dylan Cease, you need these names to get off, need to go their ways. Max Fried has agreed to an absurd deal.
What is it? Hold on,
I mean,
guess.
absurd. Now I say it, it's absurd.
All right.
It's absurd.
Well, because the number is out there, I'll say 7 years.
8. That's the absurd part.
8 years, $230 million.
218.
Okay.
So the money, actually, the AAV is actually going to be really reasonable for the Yankees. That's less than 30 per year.
Yeah.
But 218 guaranteed today is a lot for pitching, although Yamamoto got 300 plus. Max Fried gets 8 years, 218 from the New York Yankees. So basically 48 hours, if that, from losing out on Juan Soto. Again, different position, but prize free agent. They land as good of a left-hander maybe as there is. I mean, certainly out there. Max Fried, 8 years to the New York Yankees.
Well, yeah, if you're the Yankees and you lose out on Juan Soto, you're sitting there saying to yourself, all right, well,
we got money.
We got some money to spend. And if you go out and get Max Fried, you go out and get, I don't know, get a couple other top guys, you could potentially have a way better team next year.
More well-rounded.
Than if you re-signed Juan Soto.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's the Padres trade theory. They traded Soto. Now, I don't think it was ideal at the time, but they did get pieces that helped them. Multiple pieces like Higgy and Michael King and some depth, pitching depth with Vasquez and Brito. But that is official from Jeff Passan. 8 years, 218 for Max Fried to the New York Yankees. Again, the Padres were never in on Fried. And if you wonder why I'm saying, well, why is it good that Fried's off the board? Because at some point, there's not going to be starting pitching of the caliber of Dylan Cease out there. Because the free agents are going to sign, like Corbin Burns, like Max Fried. And then you're going to look up and say, well, who needs starting pitching?
If you're Dylan Cease, you're seeing these contracts going,
oh,
baby.
Pretty, man. Yeah, I mean, he's what? How old is he? Is he even 30? Did we say he's 29 or 30?
I think he's right at 30.
He's got one more year, and he's going to be right in that. Hey, look at that Snell deal. Look at that Fried deal. You know, I should be getting the 6-7 years, and I should be getting a
especially if he's
30 million
finishing
AAV.
top 5 in Cy Young voting.
He's only 28.
It's 28.
Okay, he's going to get paid.
He's going to get paid. So I mean, so maybe that then speaks to what's going to play out here, maybe sooner rather than later, that they're just going to move him.
Is that a little bit of an overpay for Max Fried? Probably. A lot of these contracts are overpays because you got to get the guy. The Juan Soto deal, one of the biggest overpays in the history of the sport, but they wanted the guy, so they did it. And Steve Cohen doesn't care about money and doesn't hurt him at all. Is this an overpay for Max Fried? Yeah, probably. Was it an overpay for Willie Adames? Yeah, probably. So like that's where the market in baseball is at. Rarely are you going to get anybody on like a really good deal. I think the last deal that you could say on face value that could have been a really good deal, now he's hurt, is Joe Musgrove. 5 for $100 at the time. You're like,
of course, he didn't reach free agency, right?
He never reached free agency. Same thing with Fernando Tatis Jr. Now, if the guy could just freaking stay healthy, that deal looks amazing.
Yeah,
now.
it's too early to be like, oh my gosh, it's only 340 when other guys are getting 700. I'm like, yeah, but he's only been on the field half the time.
That is a problem. But in the market now, in this free agent class, everybody's getting overpaid. Everybody. Because that is how the market is. You're not going to go out there and sign a top free agent like Corbin Burns now or Pete Alonso or Jerkson Profar and be like, man, we got a good deal there. No, it's going to be an overpay. Right. That's why I think Jerkson Profar now seeing the contracts from Tyler O'Neill and from Michael Conforto. Dude's going to get between probably 15 and 20 million per year.
Can I ask a serious question?
No.
Okay.
Well, what is it?
Would a contending team trade Dylan Cease?
Ooh, I like that question because the answer to that for me is no.
Now, would a contending team trade Juan Soto? I would have said in real time, no. They were a contender a year ago. But does contending team that trades Dylan Cease better know that they're trading for Garrett Crochet or better know that they're landing Roki Sasaki, right? You don't trade Dylan Cease and say, you know what, we really like Matt Waldron.
No.
We really like Randy Vasquez.
Yeah.
Like, would a contending team trade Dylan Cease? Now, you might get a good amount back, but does that help a contending team?
Dylan Cease is not Juan Soto.
No. Well, no, and they play different positions, but you could argue the merits of what they mean to a postseason run.
Because at the time when he was traded, we were all saying, yeah, $500 to $600 million contract.
Yep, we were.
That's not going to happen here.
Not even close.
Not like
200.
How many teams could have realistically done that? 3? And that was the Dodgers, the Mets, and the Yankees.
Yeah, maybe
the 3 finalists for Juan Soto.
Definitely.
Dylan Cease, that list grows. It's not just 3 teams can sign Dylan Cease. You could say I'd say 10 to 12 teams could realistically sign Dylan Cease. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
The Padres could be in that mix, but they choose not to be because they do not want, and they've already spent the money too, which is the problem. Like, they had the money to spend and they spent it on some of the wrong guys. Like, some of the guys they spent the money on should have never spent the money on. Xander Bogaerts, Jake Cronenworth, like Wandy Peralta, like some of these guys, just you spent money on them and you're like, well, that hurt us for a long time. So I agree with you. The question of would a contending team trade an ace pitcher, Dylan Cease? The answer to me is no, but the Padres are a team that's looking to trade because they put themselves in an awful position.
Or also, is the value of starting pitching so high that the return could be so significant? He makes nothing compared to the Frieds and the Yamamotos per year. He's owed $13 million this upcoming year. $13.7 million. If you're owed $13.7 million, will someone move heaven and earth to go acquire that player? That's a really low rate for a top 15 caliber starting pitcher in Major League Baseball. Can you then get the return that makes moving him make sense, I guess?
And you could get a lot for Dylan Cease. After this free deal, like, it feels like you could get a king's ransom for him. But like I said earlier in the show, is that going to really make the fan base happy that you traded away an ace starting pitcher when you were in win now mode and you have to sell now? The prospects you got back will help you down the line. Like, okay.
Okay, that'll be the motto for 2025. Okay, we traded Dylan Cease the year after we traded Juan Soto. Okay. All right, according to Kevin Acee, the Padres are exploring their offseason options, which could include a trade of Dylan Cease. And Kevin is at the baseball winter meetings in Dallas. He will join us next to kick off hour 2 of Jon and Jim. Do not go anywhere.
All right, this update's brought to you by Toyota Carlsbad. Relaxed and friendly since 1972. We'll start with Aztecs football. Today they announced their in-conference schedule for the upcoming football season next year. Colorado State, San Jose State, Wyoming, and Boise State are all on the home schedule for the Aztecs. Tomorrow night, the MLS expansion draft for San Diego FC starts at 7:30 p.m. And San Diego State takes on Cal Baptist tomorrow night, 7 p.m. at Viejas Arena. Of course, you can listen to that right here on San Diego Sports 760. Hurry in today to Toyota Carlsbad for big savings on new Toyotas during Toyotathon. Save with low APR financing or lease specials. Not all buyers qualify. Limited terms on approved credit. Offer ends 1/6/2025. Details at toyotacarlsbad.com.
It's Jon and Jim to warm up that drive home.
They signed Blake Snell, but that was like a Blake Snell,
Prove it.
not even a prove it deal. That's like, hey, Blake Snell needs a team. Anybody out there willing to give him $30 million for just 1 year?
We'll try.
We'll try it.
Yeah. I mean, I worry about the Arizona Diamondback. Outside of Colorado, they all can pose challenges. Dodgers goes without speaking. Giants, I think just look at the track record of the last 15 years. There's no reason to expect them to do anything other than try. And then Arizona's like kind of like sneaky odd. They're in a large city. Their payroll last year was higher than the Padres.
Now, time for Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is hour 2 of Jon and Jim, available to you on San Diego Sports 760 on the free iHeartRadio app, 101.5 channel number 2 if you're on HD radio. And, of course, we're on YouTube right now, where a couple of hundred of people are with us right now live. So you can find us there. Search for Jon and Jim 760. We're going to connect with Kevin Acee in mere moments. He is in Dallas at the 2024 baseball winter meetings, where earlier today he did report that the Padres have been weighing different offseason options, including the possibility of trading Dylan Cease, which is obviously a significant thing to report, a guy that was towards the top of the rotation in 2024. So we'll connect with Kevin Acee, and we'll discuss what's going on down there. Not just Dylan Cease, by the way, what Roki Sasaki's agent had to say earlier today as well. Joel Wolf, what's the deal with Jurickson Profar? I mean, there's a lot going on with the Padres.
And as Kevin wrote yesterday or a couple of days ago, forget when he actually wrote this, that if they don't re-sign Jurickson Profar, they don't really know what they would do. Like that's a little scary. Like, if we don't re-sign this guy, we don't really have a backup plan for it because we can't be in the market for any top outfielders because the top outfielders are not going to come here, like Teoscar Hernandez and obviously Juan Soto. And the secondary guys like Conforto and O'Neill, they have already gone. Like Tyler O'Neill today got a deal that I think could be comparable to Jurickson Profar. Let me just pull this up. He signed, where is this? A 3-year deal with the Orioles at, where's the number? The number is, there we go. 3 years, $49.5 million. So you look at that and say, Jurickson Profar had a much better year than Tyler O'Neill. Why wouldn't Jurickson Profar want to ask for that type of money? Right. That's the type of money that potentially Jurickson Profar could get. And if he's going to get that, I don't think he's coming back here.
No, either do I. And that goes to the sheer dollars and cents that Kevin's been reporting on. He's going to join us in a couple of minutes. I'm connected with him back and forth on text. He's going to join us in a couple of minutes, but he's reporting that they expect to stay under the CBT threshold. It's just about dollars and cents. It's not a reflection on whether they like Jurickson Profar. They do. They just want to make sure that they can bring him in at the right price. I mean, everyone is a question mark related to price other than Sasaki. Right? Like everything is an issue for the Padres, the price tag, other than Sasaki. That's why I think ultimately they could be creative in the trade market. Why Kevin Acee is reporting that they could potentially be interested in trading Dylan Cease to free up some salary as well. But to me, nothing is easy other than Sasaki. I mean, Tyler Wade's easy. The $1 million flyer deal is easy. But anything of substance is going to be a lot harder for the Padres than it was 2 years ago. I know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the maneuvering that they have to do is so difficult and they have not a lot of resources to do it with. So, like, they're a good team right now on paper already, but they got to get better. And how do they get better is the question. Nobody cares that you have a number in your head. That doesn't affect any fan. What affects every fan is what product you put on the field.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't 2015, 2016. No, well, 2015. This is not 2017 anymore. This is in a moment in franchise history where you have two $300 million contract players under your control, and another guy that's almost at $300 million in Xander Bogaerts, a couple $100 million pitchers. Like, you are in win it now mode.
By the way, things are happening. Jeff Passan reporting that the Blue Jays are finalizing a trade to acquire 3-time Gold Glove winning second baseman Andres Jimenez from the Cleveland Guardians. This, according to ESPN. Okay, whatever. But the point is, you look at Max Fried, you look at a trade that's going on right now for a Gold Glove award winning second baseman between the Blue Jays and the Guardians. It's already been busy. Juan Soto's the richest deal in the history of the sport. That kicked off the winter meetings. Then you got the Padres. Hey.
Well, we never expected the Padres to be like that in the first place. Now, trade-wise, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
But not in the market to make any big splash moves.
But it's like when it's like when your buddies are bringing home like nice cars and you're driving whatever I drive.
Well, they already have a bunch of nice cars in their garage. A couple of them are older cars. They're still nice, but they're older cars, and the engine might suck, and they might be, not great to drive anymore. But they have gone out and they've gotten nice cars. The problem is, like,
this Christmas.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like, you already got the PS5.
I know.
Now people are getting the PS6.
I know, but they have the PS5 already.
I know, but it's a few years old.
I know. I get it. I understand.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
And
we just got so
used to something that's never going to happen ever again here, potentially.
Oh, thanks for putting it so bluntly.
That's what I am. I'm very
Mr.
Mr.
Winter
Blunt.
meetings ago, we're sitting there and they're just wheeling and dealing. Turner, Judge, Bogaerts, Soto, like, everything's happening.
Yeah, but it's not going to happen anymore.
Oh, great.
Yeah, you're in a interesting part of your franchise history where, like, you are trying to win so bad, but also you're making sure as an organization that you're not spending too much money to try to win a lot, because if you do, then it's going to hurt the bottom dollar. And the bottom dollar for the Padres right now is more important, it feels like, than the product in the field. Not saying the product in the field is not important, but the bottom dollar and making sure that their money is back in the green instead of the red right now is one of the most important things.
All right. So Brent is connecting right now with Are you Brent? Hold on. If you haven't talked to him, I just texted him, let's try 3:15. I mean, he's doing his job. So, I mean, the winter meetings are going on. It's 5:00 Central. And like you said, he may be. I mean, he's doing his job. So I said we could try 3:15. And if 3:15 doesn't work, we'll have plenty of time. We're on the air basically for forever.
Correct.
We're here until 6 p.m. We're also going to connect with Grant Paulson from MLB Network Radio. We'll do that later this hour, as, again, there's been a lot of dealings at the winter meetings here today. I think the most significant story today is what Kevin reported, which is the Padres may have real legitimate interest in trading Dylan Cease. I think the Joel Wolf comments, he's the agent for Roki Sasaki, are also significant, but that's going to play out, over that posting period. We're not going to know anything officially for weeks on end about Roki Sasaki, but new news is the idea that they could trade Dylan Cease. Like, we didn't actually know that. We could theorize on it, as we've done for weeks, the Arise, Cease, King, who's going to go combination. But Kevin reporting today is kind of new news on that.
Okay.
Isn't it? Had that been reported?
No, it's not been reported. It's new news, but how does it make you better?
We're going to ask Kevin.
All right.
We've got Kevin with us right now from the baseball winter meetings in Dallas, Texas. Kevin, we know it is busy. We appreciate you taking time for us. What's it been like? It seems like, first of all, it's been really busy, from Juan Soto to where we are right now, the Max Fried deal. Just in general with baseball, it feels like this has been a pretty active last day or two.
Yes, and especially in comparison to, say, last year for sure, and some of the other ones where the winter meetings has got, a deserved bad rap as things don't happen here anymore, but they are happening, and that's good. Eventually it'll trickle down to the Padres, and I think it's good for the Padres that pitching prices are so high, because all things considered, I'm sure you guys are going to get to it, all things considered, I think best case scenario is they can unload a pitcher to help build the rest of their team. Kind of use a pitcher like they used Juan Soto last year.
It's interesting you say that. So you reported earlier today in the UT that the Padres are exploring options. It could include the possibility of trading Dylan Cease, who's under control in 2025, isn't making a ton of money. What type of return do you think they could command for Dylan Cease?
Well, if you're talking about a left fielder that is major league ready, maybe even as a major leaguer, you're talking about probably also prospects that maybe you could then flip to either get more prospects or different prospects, or get somebody else because they have needs while needing to maybe not necessarily trim payroll, but trim from what right now, if they were to keep everybody and then also try to sign Roki Sasaki and a left fielder. I mean, they can't afford to do that. They just can't. There are budgetary concerns, just like there were last year, by the way, but they had that Juan Soto chip, right? And that helped them do a lot. And so while they are taking calls on a lot of people, Michael King included, the one that's the most serious, the one where I have actually heard from people with other teams that think they're motivated with C. That's the one that can get you a real return to help you.
Mike Shildt the other day talked about parameters that AJ Preller has to deal with. Is this in an off season where they are still in a compete now mode? They were, as I'm sure they probably thought, very close last year. They felt like that was maybe the team that was going to do it. Does it feel like this offseason is one of the most difficult for Preller with not a lot of resources to have at his disposal?
I think really the difference between this year and last year is they have a better roster but don't have Juan Soto to trade. That's the difference. They trimmed $100 million from their payroll last year, and it was more than that at the start of the season. So I think the difference this year, you didn't come into it with this gigantic chip that was going to be able to, if you did it right, and Preller did do it right, was be able to get you a bunch of players. So then obviously you do sort to get Dylan Cease, and then have Michael King contribute, have Randy Vasquez contribute, have Gasioka contribute. I think that we should feel better about the team that they have. I think their bullpen's very good. They've got some core players. Looks like Manny Machado for now. Fernando Tatis Jr. There's lots to be positive about, but with similar holes to last year, that there's no guarantee that you're going to find yourself a jersey for $1 million or anywhere close to it, as a matter of fact. And there's no guarantee you're going to find yourself a Donovan Solano, a David Peralta, that, all the guys they ended up adding in the middle of the year, Luis Arraez. Of course, Luis Arraez is already on their roster. But yes, it's a paring down, but that's what it was last year. That's the reality of the Padres now.
Kevin Acee is our Padres insider on San Diego Sports 760. He's with us right now on Jon and Jim. Well, it's interesting. The idea of trading Dylan Cease, would that then lead you down a path that they have a level of confidence that they can backfill by trading for a starter, or there's some level of confidence in Roki Sasaki? Because I just asked the question, Kevin, and to your point, I think a lot of people were down on the Juan Soto trade, the idea of trading Juan Soto, but they won 93 games and they competed in the National League postseason as well. It seems like it doesn't run in parallel, trading Dylan Cease and being a contender. So if you trade Dylan Cease, how do you backfill a rotation that wouldn't have Cease or Musgrove as well?
Well, you better get some other guys, right? So Roki Sasaki, you do try and trade. They have a certain amount of confidence, and it's part of what I'm investigating now. Who would they be looking at? Is it internally where you're going to give Adrian Morejon another shot? I haven't heard anything to convince me that that's the case, but I'm trying to take it down a road of that where they try to find something where the last 2 years they've had the Seth Lugo, the Michael Walker Reclamation Project, Michael King stepping up, those sorts of things that they find someone. And I know that's not going to make anybody reassure anybody who's like, oh no, getting rid of Dylan Cease, this is a big deal. But the reality is they need something to be able to turn around, and you're saving money ostensibly, or at least you're trading one guy who you're going to pay $15 million for multiple guys to fill multiple holes for similar money, and that's what I believe that they're looking to do. I believe that's what they have to do.
Kevin, it feels like their confidence level on getting and landing Roki Sasaki is very, very high. Do you think that that's not the case?
I felt like that for a long time. That it's as high as it could be. Not. I think that it can definitely be read into way too much what Mike Shildt said yesterday, and that would be someone that would either not familiar with or is setting aside Mr. Positive. The way that Mike Shildt talks. And so, of course, there's going to be a billion about their chances to get Roki Sasaki. But just when I say that, that doesn't mean that he's not confident, that they're not confident, because Mike Shilt's confidence would come from people in the personnel department, because Mike Shildt wouldn't be involved in all that. So absolutely, they're confident. They have a lot of things going for them. And then further today, if you want to read into some of the things that Joel Wolf, Sasaki's agent, said, though still they could be read in way too much, because the bottom line is Joel Wolf said, I haven't really got with my client quite yet on all of these specifics. And Joel Wolf's a pretty straightforward guy. So I don't want to give anybody too much hope, but I think the fact is the Padres are absolutely confident about this, and they believe, and others believe, that there's good reason for that.
Well, don't you think, a fan base, it's fragile times, coming off of the 24 scoreless innings against the Dodgers and all the talk about lowering payroll again, and then you have your manager come out and say, we expect Sasaki to be with the Padres next year. I mean, that's kind of setting it up for. I know the Shiltisms that you talked about, but as a normal fan, they're looking at this and thinking to themselves, Kevin, man, we got Roki Sasaki, and if that doesn't happen, that's not going to be, I feel like, a good look.
Well, again, that's on anyone who read too much into what Mike Shildt said. I mean, look, you got to have confidence. Mike Shildt later went on. I didn't hear the radio interview. I saw what he said. I heard that part of it. I don't think he expanded on it on the radio, but later when we're speaking here, he expanded to basically he's trying to sell the Padres to Roki Sasaki and outlining all the things that are good about the Padres. And he acknowledged, he doesn't know. He doesn't know. But yes, that's Mike Shildt. Go back. We can find a bunch of things that it sounds like Mike Shildt saying more than he is because he is so positive. And I give him credit for being willing to talk about it, as opposed to Dave Roberts, who would not talk about Roki Sasaki at all. Of course, Dave Roberts learned his lesson last year, I guess. When he at the winter meetings, he talked about Shohei Ohtani and got a lot of blowback. So maybe that'll be Mike Shildt next year. But look, they're extremely confident, and they're in the game. And fortunately for them, he's coming when he's 23 years old and only has 4 years of experience versus 25 with 6 years of experience, because then he would be out of their price range. So this is a really good thing. Middle of January will be a very interesting and exciting time for Padres and their fans.
What's the market, Kevin? Final one for me is what's the market look like for Jurickson Profar? Is there a scenario where the Padres are able to retain him, or is it out of their price range?
There is a scenario. I don't know that it's a real clear market right now, other than to say that you would expect, and the people I've talked to, and that does not include AJ Preller or Dan Lozano, his agent, but people around that the market is, a couple of years at 15 or more. And that's out of the Padres range.
Kevin, we appreciate it. We know it's really busy. Great insight, great reporting. We enjoyed your work earlier today in the Union Tribune, and safe travels, and thanks for hopping on with us here in San Diego.
Right on, guys. Always. See you.
All right, great stuff from Kevin. We'll react to it on the other side. Grant Paulson, MLB Network Radio, 335. It's Jon and Jim. Paulson, MLB Network Radio, in just over 10 minutes, so we can react here for about 5 or 6 minutes to what Kevin Acee had to say. A reminder, UN San Diego Sports 760, VSAT, and Cable Pipe, and Legal Children's Hospital holiday season. Here's stories of hope and healing from Rady Children's patients and families. Here in the iHeart Rady Children's Give-A-Thon, supported by ESET, your digital guardians. Make a donation today by texting KGB to 51555 or donate at radyfoundation.org/give-a-thon. Listen tomorrow and Thursday. Yeah, absolutely. I moved up 6 consecutive years. It is very rewarding. We're looking forward to connecting with our listeners and share some really inspiring stories tomorrow and Thursday on the show. And talk with the baseball winter meetings going up. I think you take exception with the idea that Padres fans will be quote unquote okay if Sasaki lands elsewhere because they've been led down this path that Mike Shildt and others have taken them, that the Padres are uber confident that this is realistic. Yeah, I'm sure they'll understand when Sasaki signs somewhere else. This is especially let's say
Yeah, I'll push back against Kevin. Like I will. And I know Kevin. It feels like Kevin wrote that article, that part about don't read too. The people are reading too much into it. Like you should. Because I know it's sad joke. But how could you? This is such a far left turn from what the organization has done in the past, being so open and transparent about a player on the market like Roki Sasaki, to the point where your manager is, like I said yesterday, writing checks that he can't cash because he has nothing to do with this. He has nothing to do with this. If Roki Sasaki signs here, who even knows if Mike Shildt will be around to see out Roki Sasaki for the full 6 seasons?
Yeah, I mean, unlikely. Extremely unlikely.
Probably unlikely. You're right. So, yeah, if you want to be that person and you want to downplay what Mike Shildt said, okay. But guess what? The eyebrows of the entire baseball world raised as high as they possibly could raise yesterday when Mike Shildt said that about Roki Sasaki. It's not something.
Completely.
It's not something that the baseball world is going to be like downplaying because it's just Mike Shildt using Shiltisms. Like no chance in hell.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, the baseball world is on notice to what Shildt said, and Padres fans. We always talk about how uber local baseball is. Padres fans that consume this day in and day out, in season and out of season, are well aware of what Mike Shildt just said. No one's going to forget that.
No,
you. That's not water under the bridge.
No, it's not.
And now, does Mike Shildt often say some things that maybe he should not? Is he an eternal optimist? Yeah, I guess, but that doesn't excuse using language like we expect to land Roki Sasaki if you don't land him.
He'll look like the Messiah if they land him, and he'll be praised like, Shilty knew the whole time.
Right.
And everything will be fine. And we'll never talk about that quote ever again. And all we'll talk about is that Preller had something down his pants and up his sleeves.
He'll go from Messiah to pariah.
Yeah. If that does not happen, then a lot of people will be upset. I guarantee it. Fans will be like, "What? I thought they were going to sign Roki Sasaki."
Yeah, I'll be upset just in general because I felt like they put the eggs in the basket the second the offseason started because it became abundantly clear they don't want to spend any money. So you move your eggs to Sasaki because it costs nothing, and they've had relationships with him. Yeah. And now when they double down, they being Mike Shildt, and say we expect to land him, it's like, well, hold on. This is the one move you got to make. And now the guy who manages the club said it out loud.
Yeah, you can't excuse somebody for saying something and use it and say, "Oh, that's just them being them." Like, right, that's just John being John. Like, what if you said something that really offended somebody?
I did the Ohtani thing. You put it on social media and then people ran with it.
But what I'm saying is, if you said something that really offended a lot of people, and me defending you, and my defense of you was that's just John being John. That's not good. I'm sorry. That doesn't fly.
Right. No, that's fair.
Now, I think
the opposite makes more sense.
But this also has the ramifications of what Shildt said, not even close to what I'm talking about with referring to something like if that happened with you. But it does play. And you can bet your ass if they don't sign Roki Sasaki, that will be something that the fans will look at and be upset about.
Bet your ass. Well,
metaphorically speaking.
All right, Grant Paulson, MLB Network Radio, will join us on the other side of a break. We have Holiday Bowl tickets to give away. We're discussing the latest from Dallas and the baseball winter meetings with Grant Paulson next.
All right, this update is brought to you by Toyota Carlsbad, relaxed and friendly since 1972. Breaking news in baseball: Max Fried has signed a 8-year, $218 million deal with the New York Yankees. San Jose State football announced their conference schedule, not schedule, but the teams that will be at Snapdragon Stadium next year. It'll be Colorado State, San Jose State, Wyoming, and Boise State. And tomorrow night, San Diego State basketball takes on Cal Baptist, 7 p.m. tip-off. You can listen to that right here on San Diego Sports 760. Hurry in today to Toyota Carlsbad for big savings on new Toyotas during save with low APR financing or lease specials. Not all buyers qualify. Limited terms on approved credit. Offer ends 1/6/2025. Details at toyotacarlsbad.com.
All right, Jon and Jim with you as we continue to cover the baseball winter meetings. We're going to connect momentarily with Grant Paulson at MLB Network Radio. It's good to have Kevin and Acee on the show. You missed it, sportscast.com, iHeartRadio app, iTunes Radio, or Spotify. Grandpa Juan Soto landing not just with the Mets, but the price that he had as well. So, again, busy couple of days, and Grant Paulson from MLB Network Radio and based in DC back with us on Jon Jim San Diego Sports 760. Grant, we always appreciate you taking time. We know it's obviously for baseball fans an exciting time. There's been a lot going on the last couple of days. And from your seat, because you covered Juan Soto when he was in our nation's capital, and you watched that split out over the last couple of years, what's your reaction to the way that this played out and ultimately landing in New York with the Mets?
I'm not surprised. I thought he was going to go where he got the most money, and it always seems pretty clear to me that the Dodgers are the best with the landscape the way it is right now, with the two possible landing spots after Shohei Ohtani got paid, even with all the deferment. It seems less likely that the Dodgers would be willing to go where Soto wanted them to, and Steve Cohen's got deeper pockets than everybody else. So based on that, the Mets were always kind of my favorite on my board in terms of the most likely outcome. The team that I thought was kind of a sleeper, I think I told you guys, was Toronto, because I think they're willing to spend big in ways that maybe doesn't get talked about mainstream media, like the Mets or the Dodgers or the Yankees. I think they were a player on the factor, but it really did come down to the Yankees. Didn't want to leave, and the Mets were going to do anything they had to keep him. And as you can see, they got that done. And as long as Steve Cohen's their owner, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, when it comes to players breaking records, they should be considered the favorites. He's got deeper pockets and more willingness, I think, to, go to places that other owners either can't or won't.
So here in San Diego, losing Juan Soto last year, but trading away and getting a bunch of pieces back really helped out the team. And then now this offseason for the Padres, one of the big trade chips that we were just recently discussing here, Grant, was Dylan Cease, mentioned by Kevin Acee, the insider here in San Diego and nationally as well. What kind of return do you think a Dylan Cease could get the Padres if he is traded this offseason?
Yeah, I think he'd do it. I think it'd be a nice return. I think it's the kind of thing that, it'd be painful in the moment, but there is no time like the present. I would say about Juan Soto, and this is what I said here in DC when he got traded, which we're in a very similar boat in this town to what you guys are in San Diego when you say, hey, I had to trade Juan Soto, but man, was it good for the organization when you look back at what you got back, right?
Mm-hmm.
My point on him has always been the time to trade Juan Soto is never. And the second best time is right now. Because he was never going to sign, as you guys found out, as the Yankees found out, as the Nationals knew all along. And so he was always going to market to do what he did this week. And I would say something similar about Dylan Cease, right? I mean, I think how you've got to operate if you're not going to be swimming in, the biggest waters with the biggest fishes, the timing has to be right. You've got to trade guys earlier than later to get the biggest return. If you wait until the deadline before free agency, you obviously just don't get enough. If you wait until the final year of the deal, the return gets smaller. So what they did with Juan Soto, I thought was a no-brainer. Had they have waited until this deadline, even though the ball club was better, the clubhouse was fixed, and Shildt did a really good job, and all these things that happened allow them to be ultra competitive. And I think I talked to you guys during the playoffs. I thought if they got by the Dodgers, they were going to make a World Series run. Maybe then you hang on to them or something. Who knows? And maybe he puts you over the top. You can always kind of ask those questions, but you're in such a worse position moving forward. So I would consider that, and I think now is the time to do it.
Grant Paulson, MLB Network Radio, with us right now. Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. We heard yesterday Mike Shildt really speak strongly on Roki Sasaki and saying on MLB Network Radio essentially that he expected the Padres to land Sasaki, which we thought was really strong language. What do you make of these sweepstakes? I mean, who do you expect to be the front runners? Would you be surprised if San Diego was not a front runner for Sasaki, or how does it play out for you?
Yeah, so I think San Diego is a major factor here, personally. And I think, some of that is based, frankly, on Shilt's confidence, although I don't know if I should, take him at his word. I think this week more than ever, anything that's said by any GM or any manager needs to be taken with a grain of salt in a lot of ways. But his confidence did take me aback a little bit. There was also the comment made by his agent, stateside here, I'm sure you guys saw, about the type of market he wants to play in. Now, I don't know how many of the things that are out there are legitimate or not, but one of the things that has been attached as a storyline to Sasaki all along has been that this is not maybe a guy that's, the exact same as, say, Shohei or some of the other players that ended up in the huge market, and that he might actually prefer a little bit more anonymity, that he might actually enjoy a mid or smaller market operation, that he doesn't necessarily love all the attention. Not that it's ever affected him on the field. It's not something I don't think you have to worry about, because if you just look at the dominance he's pitched and performed with and the attention in Japan, it's never been a problem. But some guys just, we see this in the big leagues with players here in the States who, are just more comfortable being out of the spotlight, that are quiet, that don't necessarily need the attention. So if that is inevitably the case with him, then I think a team like San Diego and so many others would benefit pretty immensely. I've thought since the first moment it was the Dodgers, just for all the reasons everybody else did. But obviously the momentum and the trend, at least as far as storylines, has gone the other direction.
Yeah, no, here in San Diego, it's a kind of one of those whoa moments when someone from the Padres organization is so confident on a player on the market like Shildt was yesterday.
Let me ask you guys. I mean, what is your, what's the angle there? I mean, you know Shildt better than I do and kind of his norms. Like, on the outside looking in, I saw that and I thought, wow, why be so openly and aggressively obvious with and outspoken about it? But what did you take that to mean? Did you take it to mean he's confident they're going to get it done?
Well, I think, Kevin Acee, who we just had on, he wrote, it's just a Shiltyism. That's just Shilty being Shilty. But you're not in town, and you said it how I view it, is that like people that don't know Mike Shildt, which is a lot of people, including the fans, are saying to themselves, wow, if we're going to get Roki Sasaki now. I thought it was something that he probably should not have said, because now it puts the emphasis on Preller and the front office to like get this done or else.
Yeah, I've mostly covered Mike from afar, but during postseason coverage for MLB Radio, was in and out of his office throughout a couple series and interviewing him before every LCS game, and I've dealt with him in person a little bit too. He's a pretty straight shooter, right? I think what he says is what he means, but even by those standards, I was just surprised. He just sounded more confident. A lot of times when you watch these GMs and these owners and these managers and anybody speaking in the countless interviews being done right now, they're kind of hedging on everything, even the obvious stuff, and so for him to have been so confident did kind of make me want to recalibrate my thoughts on it.
And wouldn't you think Grant Paulson at MLB Network Radio is with us right now, and Jon and Jim, like, is there any one team that needs any one player right now more than the Padres need Sasaki? They're in payroll hell, so to speak. They aren't in it on, the Max Frieds and the Juan Sotos, obviously, nor can they be, nor should they be. But like, that's kind of their only card in the deck, right? That they can pull. Like, they're a quote unquote contender, but to be a contender, you're going to need, they lost Joe Musgrove. You got to add some starting pitching. They might trade Dylan Cease. It's almost like they have to have Roki Sasaki.
Yeah, it'd be a game changer. I mean, it would, savior is strong, but like it would completely change the algorithm for them this season. I have made the case, actually. We were talking about this locally today in terms of like landing spots and where it would make the most sense. And the only other one I would comp is I think the Orioles are in a little bit of a similar boat. Now, they're better prepared, I think, to go win more games this season on paper. But I do feel like, while this is not the narrative around the ball club locally in Baltimore, I don't think, like, until I see them go out and spend on a Burns type, I mean, you saw what Fried just got on his 8-year contract for $200 million. Like, it feels like their only way to an ace is cutting the corner of trading for Corbin Burns or adding Sasaki in this way in this market. And so I would put Baltimore and San Diego kind of similarly in that same boat of, if you're going to take that next step of, and they're in comparable situations, right, where they're both perennial playoff type teams who haven't quite been able to get over the hump and be championship caliber just yet. I would say that's kind of close to answer your question of like who else might need him just as much, but the fit is just perfect. And to your point, with kind of the rest of the situation and the rotation seemingly declining on paper going into next year, without the ability to throw money at that problem, because as I always say, like, you can get cute, you can build a team, you can develop and groom, and you can find your Jackson Merrills, and you can win that way. But there's two things that cost money. You have to throw money if you need power overnight, or if you need pitching overnight. You got to throw your checkbook at that problem. And if you don't have the ability to, it's very rare that you get a get out of jail free card, and this would be one.
100% agree with that, Grant. Appreciate you taking time for us in San Diego. It's an interesting time. It really is here locally with the Padres. But thank you for the perspective, Grant. We look forward to doing it.
Thanks, Grant.
When we get closer to 2025.
Yeah, be good, guys. Should be a fun week. Enjoy.
You as well. Yeah, it has been already. Grant Paulson, MLB Network Radio. We'll react to Kevin Acee, Grant Paulson. We've got Holiday Bowl tickets to give away. We're here until 6. It's Jon and Jim. Hey guys, it is Jon and Jim for our friends over at Jamul Casino, and all month long is a great time to get to Jamul, especially on Monday nights, because you've got chances to win big luxury handbags from top brands, Louis Vuitton, Versace, and more. 10 winners every hour, 7, 8, 9 p.m. Onyx players receiving an extra $100 of cash bonus, plus one lucky winner each hour is going to get the opportunity to pick a purse that is going to be packed with cash up to $25,000, and you get to keep the purse.
Yeah, and after you win a luxury purse and $25,000, head on over to Tony Gwynn Sports Pub or Loft 94 to watch all the sporting events that they have for you. You can have some great food as well. The Slam Diego burger with truffle fries at Tony Gwynn Sports Pub is amazing. So head on there, head on down, and watch some sporting events at the great Tony Gwynn Sports Pub.
And of course, we're weeks away. You're making plans for New Year's Eve. You can celebrate your New Year's Eve out at Jamul at the holographic New Year's party. Celebrate in style. They're going to kick off festivities with $20 in free play for all, beginning at noon. Make it an unforgettable New Year's celebration out at Jamul.
Yeah, there's so many things to do coming up here with New Year's Eve. They have all the sporting events that you want. And oh, by the way, you can win a lot of cash at Jamul Casino as well. Jamul Casino, it's fun above all else.
AM radio keeps vital voices accessible. Congress can secure its future. But we need your help. Text AM to 52886. Now, we're keeping AM radio in cars. Tell your members Congress passed legislation now. AM radio in cars. Standard message data rates apply. Will Brinson, senior NFL writer, CBS Sports, will join us at 4 p.m. I don't think he's at but yesterday, there was NFL announcement. They lost. Cowboys match 27. Joe Burrow said it perfectly after the game. All great win, but potentially that's my best. In general. All right, so Graham Paulson agrees that like Sasaki in San Diego makes more than just sense. He also read into what Mike Shildt, what he said, like, why would you say that? Did you? I don't know. Did you? Well, I'm saying that for the people that don't know Mike Shildt, and I don't want to keep that know Mike Shildt. Well, Graham Paulson didn't know Mike Shildt like Kevin Acee knows Mike Shildt. Is what Kevin Acee said. That, but Padres fans know Mike Shildt. We spent the whole season rooting for Mike Shildt. No, they won't. And I think he went too far with that. But it wouldn't shock me if he spoke at a third level what Mike Shildt says. Okay. That's my take on it. That I can't take Shildt on its face like I would have if it was Bob Melvin. If Bob Melvin said that this thing's done, like, why would Bob Melvin ever say that? But Shildt's just like just kind of a character.
Yeah, he's like sometimes it's best to just maybe not speak.
Yeah, and he probably said a little too much. Now, like you said, at the end of the day, he might look really good.
Yeah, he could.
He might not.
Might not either.
Right.
But the Roki Sasaki thing, there's still a lot of time left in that. I think one of the most important things that can happen right now is Dylan Cease and Jerkson Profar. What are they going to do with those two players specifically?
Mhm.
Are you going to trade Dylan Cease? And the more you think about it, if you can, and Kevin said they're looking potentially for like a major league starter for him, you know, like
Starting position player.
The Red Sox, okay, a team that has been mentioned as a team in on Roki Sasaki, in on Dylan Cease.
Yeah.
I mean, can there be a major league player on the Red Sox roster in the outfield that you could see in a trade package back for Dylan Cease? Because the Red Sox were heavily in on Max Fried, who just signed with the Yankees. Could that be a possibility? I mean,
I like the way you're thinking. I mean,
Jaron Duran, is that a guy that you could just swap straight up Dylan Cease for Jared Duran?
We can do the deep dive on it. So a 28-year-old that's coming off an 834 OPS year that's under control for how long? Right? He's out of Long Beach State, which you kind of like. But yeah, had this breakout last couple of years. He's young. How controllable is he? Do you get multiple years? For one?
Well, he was an all-star last year, the home run in the all-star game. He had an 8.7 WAR last year, John.
8.7 WAR?
Now,
why would they do that?
He's a free agent in 2029. It would cost way more than Dylan Cease.
Yeah, well, I was right. Why would you do it?
I know.
Yeah, it's just like you're creating another problem. If you're the Red Sox, I would think, are you going to value Dylan Cease over your controllable outfielder with an 8 WAR season?
Yeah,
No,
not happening.
Probably not.
I'm just
it's a fair point.
spitballing,
Is there another player that you lock up with? Of course there is. I mean, we'd have to look at their system. We'd have to look at their 26-man roster. Of course there is. I just don't know what it would entail. But yeah, Cease has value. Everyone has said that now.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's saying that Dylan Cease doesn't have value. He's got real value. But you got to be thinking, look at it like this. It's chess. You have to be 2 moves ahead. You move Dylan Cease, you better be able to go get Garrett Crochet. You know what I mean? Like, that's the type of thing I'm thinking from a fan perspective. You move Dylan Cease, you better get Roki Sasaki. That's where I'm thinking. You're the second move after moving Cease. That's all. I'm not thinking about that move. Like, oh, we lost Cease and we got this outfitter. Well, what does that mean for your rotation? You have to be thinking about the second move if you move Cease.
And they're in a tough spot because of the posting of Roki Sasaki. They can't just meet with them next week and then have this thing locked up potentially before Christmas. They got to wait till at least the middle of January, potentially towards the later half of January before he makes a decision. That's tough because you're sitting there with a potential Dylan Cease trade locked and loaded, ready to go, but you don't want to make that yet until you know what Roki Sasaki is going to do.
I was thinking that. Exactly. It's like before you pull the trigger there, you have to know you can do the work on the other side.
Because that would be just idiotic to trade away Dylan Cease and then not land Roki Sasaki. Because then now you're 0 for 2.
Yeah, I look at it like honestly, I look at it like the transfer portal. You're cool with your quarterback walking, but you don't backfill appropriately. Like you better be confident you're going to land that quarterback in the portal if you just lost your, all conference caliber quarterback. That's how I look at something like this.
Now, if they go out and trade for a Jesus Luzardo, a guy that we've talked about a lot on this show, and maybe another starting pitcher they can go trade for that's doesn't cost you a lot of money, then maybe you can unload a Cease deal right now. But if you don't do those things, if you don't have reinforcements before you trade Dylan Cease, or at least things lined up ready to go,
then it seems maybe short-sighted.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus Luzardo, it's funny you mentioned the name because we have mentioned him a lot. We mentioned the fact last year, A, he wasn't healthy, and B, he wasn't good. So, like, there's probably a leap of faith with the pitcher on the other side of Dylan Cease. Like, Dylan Cease is a known commodity, had already finished second in Cy Young voting when they traded for him. Is the next pitcher you're going to acquire a guy that's going to be a year removed from that type of season, or is it going to be more question marks? Like, you're not just trading Dylan Cease and replacing him with a guarantee that the next pitcher you bring in is like Dylan Cease. There's not that many guys like him.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that includes Roki Sasaki. I have no idea if Roki Sasaki in 2025 is going to pitch like Dylan Cease in 2024. Maybe.
Well, that would mean he would need to finish top 4 in Cy Young voting.
Yeah, what are the odds of that? It doesn't seem overly likely. It's possible. All right, Will Brinson, senior NFL writer, CBS Sports. He'll join us on the other side. We're getting late, folks, in the regular season, aren't we? Postseason is about a month away or less, and Will Brinson will join us on the other side. Still ahead, your chance to win Holiday Bowl tickets. We'll do that in the 4 o'clock hour. We're here until 6. If you missed us with Kevin Acee, you'll hear it again at 5 p.m. It's Jon and Jim.
All right, this update is brought to you by Toyota Carlsbad. Relax and friendly since 1972. Jeff Passan reporting just a little while ago that Max Fried and the New York Yankees have agreed to an 8-year, $218 million contract. Moving over to San Diego State football, their home schedule for conference games has been announced, just the teams they're playing: Colorado State, San Jose State, Wyoming, and Boise State. And tomorrow night, San Diego State takes on Cal Baptist, 7 p.m. tip time. You can listen to that game right here on San Diego Sports 760. Hurry in today to Toyota Carlsbad for big savings on new Toyotas during Toyotathon. Save with low APR financing or lease specials. Not all buyers qualify. Limited terms on approved credit. Offer ends 1/6/2025. Details at toyotacarlsbad.com.
It's Jon and Jim to warm up that drive home.
They signed Blake Snell, but that was like a Blake Snell, not even a prove it deal. That's like, hey, Blake Snell needs a team. Anybody out there willing to give him $30 million for just 1 year?
We'll try.
We'll try it.
Yeah. I mean, I worry about the Arizona Diamondback. Outside of Colorado, they all can pose challenges. Dodgers goes without speaking. Giants, I think, just look at the track record of the last 15 years. There's no reason to expect them to do anything other than try. And then Arizona's kind of sneaky odd. They're in a large city. Their payroll last year was higher than the Padres.
Now, time for Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? Hour 3, Jon and Jim here until 6 p.m. A lot of our attention has been on the baseball winter meetings, but they are in the same city as the NFL was playing last night. That was Dallas. For Monday Night Football, Will Brinson, senior NFL writer, CBS Sports, back with us here on Jon and Jim. I have no idea why I started with that. I'm not starting with the Cowboys. Will, we appreciate you hopping on. I'm watching the Chiefs every week because everyone is, and they're on national television every single day, seemingly, and they're playing the Chargers, and they find another way to pull a rabbit out of a hat.
A doink field goal for the win.
Are they really going to do this? Is this the way they're going to win another Super Bowl? And can they really do this throughout the postseason, play with fire like this and win a Super Bowl?
No.
Okay.
Also, I'm in Dallas, oddly, but not. I went to the Cowboys game. It's a long story. But yeah, I mean, they can't win a Super Bowl like this, but they won't win a Super Bowl like this because the way, I think we have reached, and I feel like I say this. I mean, not every week, but I mean, I feel like I say this routinely that the Chiefs have morphed into the Patriots fully. They have the 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. They have the guy who might be the best head coach of all time. They have the guy who might be the best quarterback of all time. And when they're in situations when they don't have their team at its most optimal, they just sort of grind out wins and let it get late, keep it close, and let Patrick Mahomes, or as it was with the Patriots, Tom Brady, pull off some miracle. And it just happens so often, and it's ridiculous. And what they're going to do with the Bills losing the Rams and now playing the Lions this week on CBS, by the way, which maybe a loss for the Bills. I think they win, but the Chiefs are going to get the 1 seed. They're going to have home field advantage. Andy Reid's going to get a bye. He's going to cook some stuff up. They're going to come out of the bye. They're going to play in the divisional round, and we're all going to be quasi-shocked when Travis Kelce looks 27 and Mahomes is cooking it up and Pacheco's running like crazy, and the offense is suddenly hot again. It happened last year, and this team is better than last year's team offensively. Plus, they might get Hollywood Brown back, which is not a game-changing move, but certainly improves their offense. And DeAndre Hopkins has sort of worked his way in. I mean, it's going to come down to, can the Bills or the Ravens do enough in the AFC Championship game to overcome the magic that is Patrick Mahomes? And they are, I think they're 10-0 in one. Maybe not 10-0. They might. I guess their losses are one. They lost by 2 scores. So yeah, they're 10-0 in 1-score games this year. It's absurd. I mean, the doink to win the division. You have the Bengals pass interference. The Raiders botch a snap. They blocked the Broncos field goal. It's insane, and it's just it's Patriots-like, but it's in a different costume, so we don't really recognize it yet.
And why they potentially will get the 1 seed now is because of, I mean, it might not have mattered Will, the at the end of the Bills Rams game, Sean McDermott calling the timeout there at the 1 yard line. It might not have mattered, but still, that was ridiculous.
Yeah, and there was a penalty situation that he screwed up too. I mean, people are like, "Oh, Josh Allen has to overcome Sean McDermott." I mean, look, I get the criticism of Sean McDermott. I do. I mean, there's the 13-second thing a few years back. I mean, there's plenty of examples. You can go back to his motivational speeches in the locker room that got aired out. But I mean, the reality is Sean McDermott's a really good coach, and the Bills are a good team year in and year out. They're just, and again, I've said this. I think I've said this before, but like Chargers fans get it because they had like Phillip Rivers and a host of talent during Tom Brady's prime, and Ben Roethlisberger there, and of course, like just various other really good teams. Like that's what prevented the Chargers from winning a Super Bowl. And it's the same sort of thing. Like if you're Josh Allen, you have to look at it as like I'm playing the best football of my career, even if not statistically, but just the best football. I'm the MVP favorite. Our team is rolling. We've already won the division, and I'm still not going to get the 1 seed. I'm still going to have to go to Kansas City in the AFC Championship game. Sean McDermott's a good coach. Andy Reid disciple. Replaced the late Jim Johnson, and it didn't work out, so they moved on because the expectations were so high. But I mean, like this Bills team is right there. They're just going to have to beat the Chiefs for 60 minutes at some point if they want to make it to the promised land. It's very much like Jordan and the Pistons in the 90s.
Yeah, that's an interesting comp and a good one. Will Brinson's with us right now. We're talking about the NFL into the final month here of the regular season. What do we make of what's playing out in Philadelphia? The comments made by A.J. Brown, what Brandon Graham said. I know he's walked some of it back, but the Eagles are 11-2. They're like having a resurgence from where they were a year ago. Like seemingly things are good, but are they not? What's going on with the 11-2 Eagles between Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown?
What we make of it is we are going to hammer, at least I am. I encourage everyone else who's listening to do the same thing. Anytime touchdown, A.J. Brown on Sunday.
Right.
This is a squeaky wheel narrative, if I've ever heard one. I think it's, look, the Eagles, since their bye, undefeated, playing great football, the defense has stepped up. They are running the ball an insane amount, like over 50%, which is unheard of in the modern NFL. And I think that's probably, if you're A.J. Brown, you look around, you say, okay, defensive wide receivers exist, and that's just a thing. I don't really buy into, we got to the point where like T.O. and Donovan McNabb are squabbling on Twitter and like with quotes about T.O. with McNabb. I mean, to me, this is a situation where A.J. Brown for 1 week, you give him a big game, and all of a sudden all of it is forgotten. So I think A.J. Brown is just a Steelers just a smash ball. I think he just had 7 to 10 targets down the field and comes away with at least 1 touchdown, and it's all just forgotten. It's a with the playoffs and before the football late last year, you constantly see yourself the Eagles and it makes you wonder a little bit, but to me, it's not a huge deal at all. It's something that we see very quickly when they come out the first drive, pop, and A.J. Brown.
Will, Vikings this offseason be in a situation where they have to maybe franchise tag Sam Darnold or get rid of him for J.J. McCarthy? With how well Sam Darnold played this year, what do you think that they should do? I mean, the offseason was away, but they have put themselves in a position where how good Sam Darnold played. This is going to be a tough decision.
Well, it's tricky because J.J. McCarthy was a second surgery during the season that it was, college reported and I'm trying to remember that. That's when you at least in Jacksonville, are you sure you're good for the first season? So yeah, the Darnold thing is fascinating. Now, there's also a reason that he's better where Aaron Rodgers, who was drafted to replace Brett Favre against Brett Favre's wish, had had Jordan Love drafted behind him. It's traded with Jets like Rick Paul. And it's relief after the goes to the Vikings, just like Brett Favre. That could happen. That's not a question at all. I think he was also good. And Kevin O'Connell gets so much out of the quarterback. If you're the Vikings, you know you have signed in Jefferson in his prime. Jordan has you've got an offensive line that's pretty good and has certainly developed. And whether or not the job defense is so like that you can afford to do 1 or 2 games. Say, all right, we're going to bring tight end, keep him around. He prefer a long-term deal, and he knows and he's going to get the $28 million a year for 1 year. Someone like Aaron Rodgers, or you can Donald, and then you see where McCarthy is. I mean, you could be a little aggressive with a veteran spending money, plus contract, which
There, Will?
in a good
We lost you for a second, but you're back. We appreciate you joining us here. Oh, good. Oh, good. It's not your fault. It's probably so fun. Will Brinson, senior NFL writer with CBS Sports right now on Jon Jim. So it pays off for Dan Campbell going forward on 4th down this past week. Would he do it again? The same? What if it doesn't work in the postseason? It worked in the regular season. What if it doesn't work in the
well, if it doesn't work, we're just going to call it a second guess situation, right? Dan Campbell went for it,
Right.
and he lost it. I mean, to me, you got to be who you are, right? If you go for it in the postseason, do you got to go for it now? Regular. And don't get me wrong, like I think like all that insane move, and not you can't sell. You're going to have a situation where you if you make it, then Jordan Love has like 45
Yep.
and if you miss it, like there's a field race to win the game. You trust your right, you trust your golf. And golf I totally understand the idea that people would be like, this is madness and this is crazy too far. You know, he sticks with his guns and he trusts and he believes in his instinct and he has onions for days and he's not afraid to go for it in spots where most people wouldn't. And I think, you know, it was questioned like far and wide, and then all of a sudden Nick Saban comes out on College Game Day. He's like, I don't know, if you win on offense, you win on offense, and that to me is like the perfect way of describing what Dan Campbell did. You know, if you kick, you are putting it in the other team's hands. They could score a touchdown and win the game. You could miss the kick and they could score a field goal and win the game. And then all of a sudden the division is right back in play. The number 1 seed maybe off the table, and they need it bad because they're banged up. Like 13 to 15 dudes, depending on what moves they make this week on IR, just on defense, which is more than double the rest of the league. Like, you go and win the game with your healthy offense. And he did it, and it worked. And we still wanted to be mad at him for it. But I think it only like codifies your offense and your team in that locker room when you say, I believe we can do this. Let's go do it. You do it. And then no one's going to flinch in the postseason when you call the same play.
Yeah, that's well said. That's well said and good perspective. Will, we always appreciate you taking time. We're getting towards the postseason. We're counting down the weeks right now, and we'll do it again next week, all right?
All right, guys. Talk next week.
All right. Will Brinson, senior NFL writer, CBS Sports, brought to you by Humboldt Casino. 7 restaurants, thrilling games, and a sports pub voted San Diego's best. Humboldt Casino is fun above all else. We have Holiday Bowl tickets to give away. We'll do it this hour. If you missed our conversation with Kevin Acee, we'll play it for you coming up at 5 p.m. He's live in Dallas for the baseball winter meetings. But the wrap is next on Jon and Jim. All right, hey guys, it's us. Hey guys, Jon and Jim, San
Hi.
Diego Sports 760 for our friends over at Hamul Casino. Listen, this is a great month. Holiday season's here. Great month to get to Hamul. Every Monday in December, you've got a chance to win big luxury handbags from top brands like Louis Vuitton, Versace, and more. They have 10 winners every hour on Monday night, 7, 8, 9 p.m. Honest players receive an extra $100 cash bonus, plus one lucky winner each hour gets the opportunity to pick a purse packed with cash up to 25 grand. So you get to keep the purse as well. Just incredible offers going on right now.
Yeah, get a luxury purse and potentially have a purse with $25,000 of cash in it. Yeah, sign me up right now. Get to Hamul Casino for that great prize and great offer there. Also, though, they have great dining experiences as well. Tony Gwynn Sports Pub is an amazing spot to not only catch some great food, but also watch some NFL, NBA, NHL, college basketball, college football, you name it, they got it. Get to Hamul Casino for all your sporting needs.
Yeah, we're just a couple of weeks away, obviously, from New Year's Eve as well. You can celebrate New Year's over at Hamul, the holographic New Year's party. Celebrate in style. They're kicking off festivities at noon with $20 in free play for all. It's going to be an unforgettable New Year's celebration out at Hamul.
Yeah, so many things to do at Hamul Casino. Celebrate your New Year's with them, watch sporting events with them, have great food with them, win a bunch of money with them. Hamul Casino, it's fun above all else.
Join San Diego Sports 760, ESET, SeaWorld, Sesame Place, to support Rady Children's Hospital. This holiday season, hear stories of hope and healing from Rady Children's patients and families during the iHeartRadio Children's Give-A-Thon. Supported by ESET, your digital guardians. Make a donation today by texting KGB to 51555 or donate at radyfoundation.org/give-a-thon. And listen tomorrow and Thursday. We'll be here tomorrow at 2 p.m. Then Aztecs basketball pregame at 6 with tip-off Ted Leitner on the call, 7 p.m. tomorrow night. We do have Holiday Bowl tickets to give away. We will do that this hour. But right now, let's get to this.
It's time for The Wrap, presented by Sombrero Mexican Food. Check out their website at sombreromex.com.
Should the Padres trade Dylan Cease?
I mean, should they? Like, no, but well, they might have to trade Dylan Cease. Yeah. I don't want them to trade Dylan Cease, but I also need to know what they get back for Dylan Cease. Like if they traded Dylan Cease for Jarren Duran, I'd be like, boom, all in on board. That's not happening. But you get my point is if they traded,
it's like you need to know what they're getting back.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So again, I'm just using this as an example. It won't happen because Jarren Duran's an all-star outfielder under control for the next
decade.
Yeah, until 2029. Dude had an 8+ WAR last year. It was incredible. If you told me though, Dylan Cease straight up for Jarren Duran, I'm all in on that. But if it's Dylan Cease for like the third-ranked prospect in the Red Sox organization and like 2 other players, it's really hard to sell me on that right now.
Yeah, it's like I believe that AJ Preller, based on what he did in 2024, has a grand plan in place that can be successful. But also part of my head says you're better with Dylan Cease than whatever your plan says. So knowing that, I'd prefer just Cease with a trade target in your rotation, or of course the white whale of landing Roki Sasaki. But no, I don't think they should. I guess if the deal makes that much sense, you could. But I don't think heading into the offseason they should necessarily trade Dylan Cease. But I'll wait on the offer. I agree with that. Next question.
Will Kawhi ever return to Kawhi form?
Will Kawhi be Kawhi?
I think you'll see glimpses and flashes of that. Right away, probably not. I don't think you can expect him to go out tonight and put up 26, 8, and 5.
He's not yet. He's cleared to practice. He'll be back within 2 weeks.
Okay. I think eventually, yeah, you'll see glimpses and flashes of Kawhi, but I don't know if you're ever going to get like that consistent Kawhi player again. Maybe you do. I don't know. It's an unfortunate situation. It sucks because you want to see Kawhi out there and playing. This is an injury that it's not like load management, is he wants to be out there and play. So yeah.
Have you seen what Norman Powell is doing this year for the Clippers by chance? San Diego's Norman Powell.
He's really good.
24 points per game.
That's really good.
That's incredible. I didn't realize that. But I mean, you add Kawhi, even at not vintage Kawhi or even not every game Kawhi, they're already all right. They're 14-11. If you could just fast forward to the postseason and you had Kawhi, but that's always the issue. Will they have him fully healthy and effective and available for every single game? I'm with you. There'll absolutely be glimpses in games where he looks brilliant, but can he do it consistently? We're going to have to see it with our own eyes. Next question.
Who wins a World Series next? The Mets or the Yankees?
I'll say the Mets just because Steve Cohen is just going to spend ungodly amounts of money to get it done. Mm-hmm. Like, he doesn't care. He'll spend until he gets a World Series. Now with Juan Soto, there's no like gap year for the Mets.
Right.
And for at least the next 4 or 5 seasons. With Lindor and Soto, and if they bring back Pete Alonso, and if they go out and get a pitcher on the market, like they got to bring back probably Sean Manaea. Yeah, I'll say the Mets just because Steve Cohen's just going to spend a lot of money. Now it'll be difficult because they got to get past the Dodgers, and that's not easy. So
I'm going to say the Yankees because the
easier
Mets.
Path.
Well, they're the Mets.
They're the Mets.
So,
you're
like
right.
when you come at it from you're the Jets perspective and you land Aaron Rodgers, you can still fall flat on your face. Now, I know it's different. Football and baseball, salary cap, no salary cap. Will they play in the World Series with Juan Soto? Sure. Of course, over the next decade and a half, they'll be in a World Series. I mean, they're an organization that spends and has some level of success historically, although not a great level of success. I just feel like they get in their own way a lot. And the Yankees' track record is better, although the Yankees' last 20 years hasn't been great either. I just can't bet on the Mets for anything. Like, you just can't do that organizationally. So if I had to choose between the two, I'd say Yankees before the
And
Mets.
they have an infinitely easier path to a World Series year in and year out than the Mets do right now. Like, the National League is loaded. The American League, stop.
Right.
You know?
Next question.
Guys, you buried the lead. It's NBA Cup Tuesday.
Oh! Right.
Will
Okay.
any road team win an NBA Cup quarterfinals?
Such a big question. Such a big question.
Really?
Such a big question. Well, what do we have in the quarters? We have Magic are in Milwaukee.
Yeah, they're
leading.
up 20-16 right now in the first quarter, John.
Okay, so and then the Mavericks are in Oklahoma City.
Okay.
And then, of course, tomorrow, as everyone knows, you got Hawks at Knicks and the Warriors at Rockets. Yeah, road team's going to win. Was that the question? Will a road team or which road team? Yes. Well, don't you agree? One of the 4 games will have a road winner. Probably. That's how the NBA works. It's not like it's impossible to win on the road. So yes, out of Warriors, Hawks, Magic, the Magic are 17-9. Jim.
They're good. They just lost Franz Wagner,
Michigan.
Well, then you throw in that they've haven't had Paulo for pretty much most of the season.
Right.
So
will a road team win? I say yes.
Hopefully not Orlando.
And hopefully not Orlando. All right, because they're playing your Bucks. All right,
Yes.
The latest on Roki Sasaki is on the other side. His agent, Joel Wolf, meeting with the media earlier today. Plus, Holiday Bowl tickets. We're giving those away this hour. And if you missed Kevin Acee on the possibility of a Dylan Cease trade and Roki Sasaki and the future for Jerks and Profar, you'll hear it coming up at 5 p.m. Stay with us on Jon and Jim.
All right, this update's brought to you by Toyota Carlsbad, relaxed and friendly since 1972. Day 2 of their winter meetings in Dallas. The Yankees have made a move. They're on the board. They signed Max Fried to an 8-year, $218 million contract. Moving over to San Diego State football, they announced their home conference schedule for next season. Colorado State, San Jose State, Wyoming, and Boise will all come here to Snapdragon Stadium. And San Diego State takes on Cal Baptist tomorrow night, 7 p.m. tip time. You can listen to that game right here on San Diego Sports 760. Hurry in today to Toyota Carlsbad for big savings on new Toyotas during Toyotathon. Save with low APR financing or lease specials. Not all buyers qualify. Limited terms on approved credit. Offer ends 1/6/2025. Details at toyotacarlsbad.com.
Padres tweeted, holiday market is a vibe. All right, the baseball winter meetings continue. They tweeted about the holiday market. Oh, Jeremiah Estrada. Yeah. Carousel. His calendar score looks awesome.
Does that mean they're getting Roki?
Yeah. Right. I don't know.
Is Jeremiah Estrada the new Tim Hill, just doing all the community events? You got to do all the. You have one guy on the team that just is at all the community events. I think he was at the Thanksgiving turkey drop. He was doing something else around town for the Padres.
Holiday market.
He is the go-to guy for the Padres, and they need a player to go around town.
Do we need to get to? It kind of does look like a vibe. Oh, you're playing the video on your phone. It looks fun. I would hit that up. It's like Christmas inside Petco Park.
Bro, this is a massive vibe.
Isn't it? Yeah, it's a really cool vibe. They've done a nice job with Gallagher.
See how many times we can say vibe on the radio and consecutively. Vibe.
Yeah, you can say a lot. Anyway, in Dallas, where the Padres front office is, the winter meetings are well underway. Max Fried to the Yankees, Juan Soto to the Mets, and Roki Sasaki's agent, Joel Wolf, speaking. Can we hear again, Brent, the first soundbite we played today, just the first 30 or 45 seconds, specifically about the San Diego Padres? Because Joel Wolf represents Roki Sasaki, and obviously there's a lot of interest. There's all of this media covering this. And this is Joel Wolf asked about the Padres with Sasaki, and this is his answer.
Joel, considering his admiration for you, Darvish, relationship potentially with you, how would a team like, say, the San Diego Padres fit as a suitor?
I would assume that would be a team that he would seriously consider, but his relationship with Darvish is private between the two of them, and how much that will weigh on his decision making, we'll have to find out.
All right, so serious consideration is what Joe Wolf said. It's a team that he would seriously consider. He assumed a team that they would seriously consider. So that's at least the starting point. Shildt yesterday was like out on an island. Like he was out on an island. He said something. We didn't know if it was truthful or it was just Shildt being Shildt. But when I hear an agent say, well, I would assume that he would seriously consider San Diego. That to me is the biggest positive actually of the last 2 days. It's not what Shildt said. That's just conjecture. What Joel Wolf says is actually meaningful. He represents Roki Sasaki. Mm-hmm. So that to me at least is something that you can take away from this and say, you know what? I now buy what Shildt is saying. I buy what I've heard from the reporters that cover this team, AJ Preller, and their infatuation with this player since he was 17 years of age. At least it's been confirmed by his agent. Mm-hmm. And it's not just like, San Diego, all 30 teams have a shot.
Yeah. And I think something that we haven't really talked too much about with Roki Sasaki, it's there. We just haven't really talked about it, is that, Padres aren't the only team in on Roki Sasaki. I still think it's a 2-horse race, Padres and Dodgers, but you got teams like the Giants today and Buster Posey saying how they would love to have Roki Sasaki, and reports from the Bay Area that the Giants are heavily in on Roki Sasaki.
In?
Yeah. The Mets will be heavily in on Roki Sasaki. The Rockies made a call to Roki Sasaki, but we all know that that's going to go.
Say what? Happy
hey,
happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
We'll see you as a visitor.
Can we get your address to put you on our Christmas card list?
Right.
The Orioles will be in. I'm sure the Texas Rangers. This is maybe potentially setting up to not be a 2-horse race. And there are maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 teams that you could conceivably see him landing.
Definitely. I mean, I don't really even think we've set it up as a 2-horse race because
I have.
Maybe. I mean, we've said that all 30 teams other than like the A's could land.
I have thought from the beginning that it is a 2-horse race between the Dodgers and the Padres, but now hearing all these other teams talk, I'm like,
everyone's going to talk because the guy's free.
Yeah,
I
true.
mean, again, I think
It's
I think
free.
there's a big leap from Buster Posey saying we'd be over the moon to sign someone, and then getting that level of interest the other way. All the teams would be over the moon.
Yeah.
All of the teams would be over the moon. But does the player have an interest in playing with that organization? It's not a 2-horse race, and he's going to meet with more than 2 teams.
Mm-hmm.
Like he will publicly, we will learn about meetings with a half dozen teams minimum between Sasaki, his representation, and the club. So get ready for a roller coaster of a last half of the month, because if you're a Padre fan, you're like, we're going to land him, and he meets with the Padres and you feel good, and then he meets with Baltimore the next day, and you're like, well, what happened to our meeting? He's going to meet with a series of teams. He's got 45 days.
Yeah.
He's got all kinds of time to figure this thing out.
It's a roller coaster.
Yeah.
It's a recruiting trip for Roki whenever he goes out and meets with teams. It is a true recruiting trip. Like that. This is like the.
Better hope the weather's nice that day.
Yeah. Like if he comes here and it's raining, you're in trouble, bro.
Right?
Where do you think they should go? Like where are you taking Roki Sasaki?
Around town, where am I taking him?
Yeah. Do you have like a dinner spot you go to?
Well, maybe that holiday market.
Yeah, maybe
it's kind of fun.
Maybe they set that up for Roki.
I mean, you got Gaslamp, obviously. You got these beach towns, which are phenomenal. You have Coronado. You have a million things at your fingertips if you're the San Diego Padres.
Yeah, I'm
Machado's house?
Potentially.
On the water, Coronado.
Yeah. I was thinking about that driving in today. You know, Yu Darvish is going to be involved. Hideo Nomo is going to be involved with the front office, AJ Preller. I was thinking, like, you should try to get Manny on board with this. Like, you bring Manny in, like, you bring a superstar Hall of Fame player in.
Mm-hmm. Oh, like in the pitch.
In the pitch.
Yeah, I like that.
Like, I not only want Yu Darvish in, but I'm like, Manny, can we get Merrill to be like, hey, here is the superstar of the future that you can be aligned with to going forward. Jackson Merrill is going to be here for a long time. Manny Machado is a Hall of Fame player. You got Yu Darvish, who is a mentor to you, who can take you under your wings. Like, I want the full court press. I want every single big name player on this team to be involved in on this.
It's interesting you say that, because I don't know if that's the winning hand or not, because if the Dodgers did the same thing, wouldn't that be a better hand?
Yeah, because they got Shohei and they got Betts and they got Freeman.
That's the thing. Like, I liked it. I started thinking about it. I'm like, well, yeah, but if the Dodgers pull out the whole LA experience and look at the stars, isn't it true that Kobe, going back to Ohtani's initial recruitment, had done something for Ohtani, the Dodgers? Don't I remember that story?
No, because
or was it the second?
Kobe Bryant was not with us.
No, the initial recruitment.
Oh, the initial recruitment.
The posting.
Oh,
didn't he?
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure he did.
Probably.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you can pull out stops.
Yeah.
If this is about pulling out stops, I don't know if they're going to be the best position team.
Yeah, because the Dodgers can do
everything.
Like, I'm envisioning the Dodgers walking in the meeting. Roki Sasaki sitting there. They sit down. They have a handler come in with the World Series trophy,
right?
Put it in front of them, and their pitch is, "You come here, you're playing for that bad boy every single season."
And here are 20 celebrities that would like to speak with you, and look, here's Yamamoto, and here's Ohtani, and here's Freeman. Yeah. So I take his agent at his word when he says that he felt, I don't know if betrayed's the right word, but he didn't like the way media in Japan treated him the last 2 years. And his preference might be not to play in a large market. That's a big story. To actually hear from the agent say, you know what, his preference actually, and we've heard this before, this has been reported weeks ago, mid-market, small market might be preferred. Now to hear his agent actually say that, okay, I'll walk down that path.
Brent, you have that?
Do we have that? The second soundbite that Jim
on the soft media, or not the soft media, but the criticisms that he faced in Japan with the media there.
Yeah, I want to hear it. Let's hear that. This is Joel Wolf, Roki Sasaki's agent, regarding that.
You mentioned Roki's former teammates with the WBC. How important is comfortability for Roki in his decision?
I don't know yet, to be honest. Roki's had a tough go of it the last couple of years. The media in Japan, not the Japanese media based here. I want to clarify that. But the media in Japan has been very tough on him. And he's not had a great time with it. And I think it's my personal opinion. I think it's been a bit unfair. And it's affected him mentally a little bit. But he's a great kid, and comes from a great family. I know his mother and his brother, and his dream is to come here to the major leagues. And I think that he hasn't really wrapped his head around the individual teams and the individual cities, and he just really doesn't know much about them. Most of the Japanese players don't, because they don't get the opportunity to come here. He was here for a very small amount of time because he was fortunate enough to play in the WBC, but that was a very small glimpse of it. So it's really hard to say until I sit down with him and talk to him about it.
Okay. What happened? Do we know what happened between
I'm trying to find
Sasaki and the Japanese media that went so poorly the last 2 years for a guy with a sub 2 ERA? You don't know Japanese, right? Like Preller? Call Preller. Have him translate this article for us.
I can't really find.
But Joe Wolf says, according to him, he thought he was treated unfairly.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is he going to be prepared to be treated unfairly here? Because, by the way, it likely happens. Not here like San Diego, but here, America, where the media is critical. And you got to win. And even if you do win, the media can be critical. He's a young guy. He's 23. So he's a young guy. Jim's going to find it. All right. Call right now. Who wants Holiday Bowl tickets? Call right now if you want a great giveaway for the holiday season. This is Friday, December 27th. We have Washington State, Syracuse. And the first two callers will be contestants for 2 free Holiday Bowl tickets, which includes the KGB Sky Show and the fireworks show. So 877-767-4760. Amazing giveaway. First two callers will be contestants, by the way, for trivia. So call right now if you want to be a contestant for trivia. 877-767-4760. Trivia. Trainwreck Radio. Next, Jon and Jim. Catch the Aztecs tomorrow night. They're taking on Cal Baptist. Did you realize? I know
No.
the answer. But they've got like a top 10 score. What's their name?
Cal Baptist. Baptistes?
I like that. It's not a terrible guess. Brent's going to try.
Crusaders?
Close. Like, you're on the right path. I'll tell you in a second. Pregame starts at 6. 10 is the tip at 7 right here in the home of the Aztecs. San Diego Sports 760. The Lancers.
Close.
Do you know Ohio State? Do you know Michigan? Know the name for the Kansas City football team? The NFL?
The Kansas City Mahomeses?
Chiefs.
Oh.
If you know Kansas City Chiefs, you should know Cal Baptist Lancers, is my point. It's basically.
Well, I
the same
don't, John,
thing.
so sorry.
Do you know Kevin Acee?
I do know Kevin Acee.
If
Love
you
me
missed
some
our
Kevin
conversation
Acee.
with him, he is at the winter meetings in Dallas. We spoke with him about the possibility of a Dylan Cease trade. He was the one to report on it. We talked about Roki Sasaki, Jerks, and Profar's future as well. If you missed it, you'll hear it coming up in 10 minutes. Right now, though, we have Holiday Bowl tickets to give away, so let's play.
All right, 3 questions, 2 contestants, 1 lifeline. Today's 2 contestants, we have Rudy and we have Gray. Rudy, you called in first, so you have your choice of John or Jim. Who do you want to go with?
I'll go with John.
Smart.
All right, Rudy, you get John. Gray, you get Jim, okay?
Sounds good.
All right, cool, buddy. Brent, what is the question of the day?
All right, guys. Last year in Major League Baseball, there was 9 pitchers that qualified that had a sub-3 ERA. Today's question, name any of those 9 pitchers that had a sub-3 ERA in the majors last year.
Okay.
Because a qualifying basically means innings.
Yeah.
Because you have, I don't know what it is, 0.8 innings per. You got to have some innings, like 100 innings.
Yeah. Close to
Okay.
more than that, actually.
I think maybe more, yeah.
Yeah. Gray, you're up first. What's your first guess? You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
Chris Sale.
Chris Sale, the Cy Young Award winner in the National League. Is he on the list?
I don't know.
He is
Yeah.
on the list. Yeah.
Okay. He's on the list.
Rudy, you're up. What's your first guess? You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
Yeah, I better go with a lifeline right away, John.
All right,
who
the
pitched
lifeline.
good?
How about one of the top free agents on the market right now, if not the top free agent, Corbin Burns?
Corbin Burns. Do you take that, Rudy?
Yes, I'll take it.
All right.
Burns.
Oh,
On the
wow.
list. Gray, back to you. What is your second guess? You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
I'll have to go with Tarek Skubal.
Tariq Skubal on the list.
the
There
list.
we go. Cy Young Award winner in the American League. Rudy, you don't have a lifeline, so it's up to you. What's your second guess, man?
Zach Wheeler.
Zach
Oh,
Wheeler.
Zach Wheeler.
Good guess.
All
Good
right, we
job.
got
There
some
we
baseball
go.
fans.
Gray, to final guess here. You do have a lifeline, so what do you got?
Take a lifeline.
Okay, your lifeline. I will give you Michael King. Do you take that?
Yes.
All right, Michael King on the list.
Wow, Jim.
I know baseball, and I'm not
You
stupid. Rudy, you're going to need this to send this to overtime. You do not have a lifeline, so what's your final answer?
Ronel Blanco.
Oh, yeah. So now Blanco. Is he on the list?
What?
Needed that lifeline earlier.
I
But
don't know.
Is Blanco on the list? Is he on the list?
I'm leaving this up to Brent. Brent, you decide.
I mean,
No, we're not counting that.
wow.
you got to pronounce the name right if you're going to look it up.
Would you know the pronunciation?
I don't even know who he's talking about.
Well, he's on there.
He is on there.
Brent
yeah,
said,
but the answer.
all right. Brent says it's over. Brent's the arbiter. It's
Ronel-
over.
There's
Done.
no way. Yeah, I'm sorry, bro.
Yeah, you can't go lifeline the first time because you don't know any answers, and then you pull those two
Ronel
out of
Blanco out of your
nowhere.
ass. Yeah, that's the,
You know,
I
we
appreciate
get it.
it.
Some people Google, but don't make it completely obvious.
yeah, I it's yeah. I mean, yeah. Ronel Blanco.
It would have been amazing. It was like Michelle King, like Michael King. You mean?
I said Michael King
I know,
already.
it would have been amazing. It was like a standard name.
Shota Imanaga.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
All right. That means that Gray is going to walk away victorious because of what Brent deemed as improper playing.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like, wait, what?
Yeah, like what? Wait, what? Okay, so who's on the list?
All right, Sales number 1, Screwballs number 2, Wheeler's 3, Blanco's 4, Amaga's 5, Valdez is 6, Corbin Burns is 7, Bryce Miller, not the one we talked to, he's number 8, and then Michael King's 9.
Bryce Miller. Like, no, dude, you don't know who this is. Okay, so Gray is the winner, and Gray is going to the Holiday Bowl.
Woohoo!
Friday, December 27th. Also, the KGB Sky Show. That'll return following the game. The DirecTV Holiday Bowl, Friday, December 27th. Washington State, Syracuse. And your ticket to the Holiday Bowl is also your ticket to the KGB Sky Show, which is a fireworks show. HolidayBowl.com for tickets and info. Get ready for fireworks on and off the field. And again, HolidayBowl.com. Gray, congratulations. 5 o'clock hour. Why don't we give away tickets to see Jerry Seinfeld and Jim Gaffigan? Should we do that? We will. It's coming up at Pechanga Arena in March. So we have Jerry Seinfeld tickets with Jim Gaffigan. Also, on the other side, if you miss Kevin Acee, our Padres insider, he joined us from Dallas, Texas. He's at the winter meetings. We have the latest on the Padres wheelings and dealings with Kevin Acee from Dallas. That's next. Hour 4, Jon and Jim. Stay with us.
All right, this update is brought to you by Progressive. No, sorry, it's brought to you by Toyota. Carlsbad, relaxed and friendly since 1972. Baseball winter meetings, day 2 from Dallas. This just breaking from Jeff Passan. Right-hander Nathan Eovaldi and the Texas Rangers are in agreement on a 3-year, $75 million contract. Early in the day, Max Fried agreed to an 8-year, $218 million contract with the New York Yankees. Moving over to San Diego State football today, they announced who they will be playing in conference at home next year and away, but the home conference schedule looks like this. Colorado State, San Jose State, Wyoming, and Boise State will all make their ways to Snapdragon Stadium next year. And San Diego State basketball takes on Cal Baptist tomorrow night, 7 p.m. tip time. You can listen to that right here on San Diego Sports 760. Hurry in today to Toyota Carlsbad for big savings on new Toyotas during Toyotathon. Save with low APR financing or lease specials. Not all buyers qualify. Limited terms on approved credit. Offer ends 1/6/2025. Details at toyotacarlsbad.com.
It's Jon and Jim to warm up that drive home.
They signed Blake Snell, but that was like a Blake Snell, not even a prove it deal. That's like, hey, Blake Snell needs a team. Anybody out there willing to give him $30 million for just 1 year?
We'll try.
We'll try it.
Yeah. I mean, I worry about the Arizona Diamondbacks. Outside of Colorado, they all can pose challenges. Dodgers goes without speaking. Giants, I think just look at the track record of the last 15 years. There's no reason to expect them to do anything other than try. And then Arizona's kind of sneaky odd. They're in a large city. Their payroll last year was higher than the Padres.
Now, time for Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is the final hour of Jon and Jim. There is breaking baseball news at this hour. Maybe you said it in the update. I wasn't listening.
You were not listening.
Nathan Eovaldi has signed a 3-year deal with the Texas Rangers. Earlier today, the Yankees made a splash. Max Fried, 8 years, over $200 million. Maybe you heard about Juan Soto a couple of days ago. He's going to the New York Mets. Also, at The Athletic at this hour, there was an article about the Dodgers' desire to pursue Roki Sasaki. And that they're essentially going all in to land Roki Sasaki, right? What's the quote from Andrew Friedman? It's their number one priority, or it's a huge priority?
It's a huge priority. I just lost it here because I was putting some sound on the rundown. But let me see if I can find this.
Yeah.
It's not great. Here we go. The Dodgers are calling Roki Sasaki a major priority to sign.
We don't.
No,
it's not a priority, guys.
No, stop! You just won a World Series. Stop.
Deal with something else.
No, don't have to be a major.
Blake
priority.
Snell should be your priority.
You already have Blake Snell.
Make him comfortable.
Tyler Glass now.
Right.
He says here. Let me just pull this up. He has the capability to be one of the best pitchers in the world. Andrew Friedman says,
right.
We're going to do whatever we can, and know that there are a lot of other teams that are going to do the exact same thing.
Okay. Right. So, right. He's saying we'll do what we can do. Other teams will be in on him.
Yeah.
But it's almost like you're downplaying it. Like, we'll do our best pitch. There'll be other great pitches. This better not be a handshake deal.
Like you know that the feeling inside the Dodgers organization is
we're good.
This is kind of like ours to lose.
Yeah, we're gonna
almost like we got him.
Yeah.
We just have too much here to have him turn it down type of thing.
Right. Too much. Like, how do you say no to this?
Yeah.
Title, Yamamoto, Ohtani, Los Angeles, everything that we have going for us.
Yeah.
Marketing opportunities, whatever that's worth.
Biggest market. The only thing that today kind of made me be like, then how would he pick the Dodgers is what his agent said about
small market,
and that, he was really affected by the criticism from the Japanese media, and he would want to go somewhere for a soft landing. And then I'm thinking to myself, then if he goes to the Dodgers, that quote's going to be really weird, right?
Really weird. But it's almost like, are they trying to set it up like it isn't an inside job and then make it an inside job?
Mm.
Oh, he doesn't. Oh, he'd prefer mid-sized market, and he doesn't really need Japanese mentors. And at the end of the day, hear me out, a month from now, he chose the Dodgers. They really impressed him. He didn't think about it initially. He really wanted Kansas City because of their mid-sized market. But at the end of the day, you heard from Andrew Friedman and ownership, like the Guggenheim Corporation, and they really like him. And would you believe it? He chose the Dodgers over the Royals. We didn't expect it, but that was his wish. Almost like, are they trying to downplay his interest in Los Angeles to make it seem like this is an authentic move if it occurs? I'm really curious about that.
I am too, and I'm also terrified when I see
Me too.
the reports of it's a major priority for Andrew Friedman and the Dodgers to get Roki Sasaki.
Like, bro, no, that's not your major priority.
No,
someone else's priority. Let someone else have a priority.
Stop. I feel better if like the Baltimore Orioles said it's the major priority for them to sign Roki Sasaki over the freaking Dodgers to say that.
Yeah, like it's a major priority. But then again, maybe that's why people have said all along as well that they're the favorites, that people knew how the organization felt about him. But then again, what organization doesn't feel the same way? That he's really talented and he can help you immediately.
Yeah, I haven't seen one club come out and say.
Has anyone come out and be like, we have no interest? Did you say the Rockies?
Mid.
Did you say the Rockies that were like, we're not going to pursue him?
No, the Rockies I think are.
Hey, do you want to pitch at elevation for the worst team in baseball?
In one of the best hitting ballparks in the country.
The Dodgers,
yeah,
against the Padres and the Giants and the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, you get to face Ohtani.
You get to go to LA and San Diego.
You get to face Manny every year, and you get to face Tatis and Willie Adames and Matt Chapman every year.
Beautiful in the winter.
Yeah, great weather.
Is it?
Well,
I mean,
at times it's nice. Probably
there's got to be a few organizations that aren't getting in front of him. He doesn't have time for all 30. I promise you that. He's not meeting with every club. And now, if he does meet with Colorado, I'll be like,
sorry, A's.
Yeah, sorry, A's. Yeah. All right. So there's that. What's your reaction to this Nathan Eovaldi starting pitching price tag, 3 years, $75 million?
Jeff Passan said this about Nathan Eovaldi, which was interesting.
Okay.
Said that Nathan Eovaldi was considered at the top of the mid-tier free agents.
It's kind of funny to say it that way.
And he's
so the top of the mid-tier is 25 a year?
If that's the top of the mid-tier.
Yeah.
For a pitcher.
Well, like Fried in AAV, if you want to play that game, isn't getting much more than that. Because 218 divided by 8, someone could do it for us, is less than 30. Because what's 218 divided by 8? 218, it's going to be
227.
Okay, so he's getting 27. Now he's getting all the years.
Yeah, a little over 27.
And Snell just got
182 for 5.
So that's over 30.
Yeah.
His 30 times 5 is 150. So he got like 35 a year.
Corbin Burns will get in that range.
30s, yeah. Okay, so it goes back to our point. Go get Sasaki. You're not in the mid-tier market.
You're not in the mid-tier, top tier,
I don't know
lower
if they're in
tier.
the bottom tier. Yeah.
They're like in like the scrap heap tier. Like they're in like the trash compactor of the Death Star tier. where they got to pick up some scraps from that thing before it closes in on him and kills him.
Yeah.
John has no idea what I'm talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know.
Nor am I listening because I saw something related to college football schedule.
Okay.
Of
course you did.
At least I'm transparent. Kevin Acee, if you missed our conversation, we thought we played at 5. We'll play at 5:30. So you'll hear all of it in its entirety on Sasaki, on Profar, on Dylan Cease, on more with Kevin Acee coming up at 5:30. It's been a very active day. It really has. Eovaldi, what was the move that the Dodgers just made? The Yankees just made Fried.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a very active day. We're going to hear from AJ Preller. Do we have the AJ Preller? We have the AJ Preller.
We do.
This is on Sasaki?
This is on, hold on, let me pull this up here.
Yeah.
Get this right.
It's on Yu Darvish.
It's Roki Sasaki, or not Roki Sasaki, AJ Preller and how Yu Darvish will factor into a Roki Sasaki free agency sweepstakes on MLB Network Radio.
I mean, Darvish, it's just, again, he's a very unique player, and not just with players coming from the MPB. I mean, he's been a guy that obviously is a number one pick in Japan as a phenom type pitcher, and he lived up to that billing in Japan. Then had the huge attention and the big contract coming over as a posted player with the Rangers. And I think he's quietly, become one of the more underrated, pitchers in terms of what his career has been. Mm-hmm. Maybe the best pitcher in the history of the MPB to come here and pitch in the States. But he's a guy that loves the game. He loves to give back to the game. He's a student of the game. And, I think a few years ago he was at the World Baseball Classic, and he went to Japan for the whole thing. Could have waited for the team, for the MPB, for the WBC Japan team to come to the States. He could have waited for the team to go to Tokyo. He wanted to go throw himself into the experience with the younger Japanese players. And he's a guy for our organization, a huge asset in terms of not like in terms of our minor league players and our young players, he's constantly looking to learn and grow, asking guys about grips and and thoughts on the mound, delivery mechanics, pitch types, etc. So we're always looking to tap into that resource. I don't think it'll be. I think we'll make sure that any player we're looking to bring in, including Roki, that they have access to you from that standpoint.
I feel like this will be a major letdown if this franchise does not land Roki Sasaki.
Well,
internally.
That's a lot of majors.
That's a lot of majors.
Yeah.
Can I give you more of like reality setting in letdown talk? Because I'm reading AJ Cassavell. He just posted.
I just saw this
about Preller speaking with the media today,
Yeah.
and he wrote whether they land Sasaki or not, it doesn't change this fact that they're looking to stretch out internal options per AJ Preller. Preller confirmed Tuesday that at least one and possibly multiple relievers could stretch toward a starter's workload this spring. He said San Diego will be looking at internal options to follow in the footsteps of relievers turned starters, Seth Lugo, Michael King. And then Cassavell references Adrian Morahone. Preller also acknowledged righties Brian Hoeing and Stephen Kolek as candidates.
Oh, no.
Then indicated there could be others. So, like, that goes back to our initial point. Musgrove's out.
Mm-hmm.
You might trade Dylan Cease.
Yeah.
It's not like you need one starter in LA and then just had an article written about how their number one priority is Roki Sasaki.
Right.
So, like, this isn't about, like, Sasaki fixes everything. This is about, even if you get Sasaki, you could look up April 5th and see Stephen Kolek making a start.
Yeah.
Or Brian Hoeing.
Yeah, I think Sasaki helps you a lot, obviously.
Yes.
But if you trade Dylan Cease, the idea of getting Roki Sasaki to me is to pair him with Cease and King and Darvish.
Yeah,
and
put him in the middle of that rotation.
And that rotation is like right now, then with a back end of a combination of Randy Vasquez and Waldron and Brito and maybe an Adrian Morahone or a Brian Hoeing. That is a much better rotation, and it makes you feel a lot better than if you go into next year where you just trade away Dylan Cease, you don't have Roki Sasaki potentially, and you have a rotation of Michael King, Yu Darvish, and a bunch of scraps.
Yeah, like, okay. For example, Cassavell writes rotation locks. Michael King, Dylan Cease, Yu Darvish. That's so fast, my friend.
Whoa,
right? But then he writes other rotation options: Randy Vasquez, Matt Waldron, Johnny Brito. Potential relievers turned starters: Adrian Morahone, Brian Hoeing, Stephen Kolek. Like, okay, right? Is that sexy heading into the year? That's why you need Sasaki, because if your rotation is King, Cease, Darvish, Vasquez, Morahone, is that good enough?
No.
I don't think so either.
Not even close.
Not close?
Nope.
Morahone has never proven to be
never
someone that's capable of giving you 150 innings.
No, he was always injured.
Randy Vasquez is a complete question mark.
He was good last year. He actually stayed
healthy.
healthy.
Also in their bullpen.
He's a bullpen piece.
Yeah, and Randy Vasquez had highs and lows.
Mm-hmm.
And King was great. And Darvish is old.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to put it so bluntly.
Like, there are a couple paths that we could be going down here for next year. Number one path, which is the path that I choose, which is the best path.
Mm-hmm.
You land Roki Sasaki. You don't trade Dylan Cease. And you have a rotation of Cease, King, Darvish, Sasaki, and the back end, and maybe make a trade for a pitcher.
Right, now you're cooking.
Now I'm liking that.
Mm-hmm.
And if it means you have to trade Luis Arraez, I wouldn't like it, but they are money capped and they're under parameters. So there you go. Option 2, you do land Roki Sasaki. You do end up trading Dylan Cease, and you make a trade for another pitcher, and your rotation now is Michael King, Yu Darvish, Roki Sasaki, and whatever. And you then keep Luis Arraez, and you keep Michael King, obviously, and you have the package back from Dylan Cease. That's not a bad road to go down. It's scary because you're putting a lot on Roki's plate from the jump, but it might be a path that they do end up going down. The path of like awful scenario is you don't land Roki, you have to trade Dylan Cease, and your rotation is King, Darvish, and whatever.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Well said. On the other side, Kevin Acee at 5:30. Let's give away the Jerry Seinfeld, Jim Gaffigan tickets coming up next. So don't go anywhere. We have Jerry Seinfeld tickets to give away for March of 2025. That would make for a great holiday gift. Plus, you'll hear from AJ Preller on Sasaki, Profar, Cease, and more at 5:30. Don't go anywhere. It's Jon and Jim. All right, guys, it is Schaefer, and stop letting high interest debt weigh you down. Pay it all off in days thanks to Loan Pronto's new rapid equity loan. Listen up, homeowners. Imagine a completely hassle-free way to cash out your home equity without appraisals or paperwork or waiting. Loan Pronto's all-new rapid equity loan. They use AI-driven technology to get you approved for cash out in as little as 1 day. One client got $100,000 approved in under 24 hours. Wiped out their debt, launched a home improvement project, is now saving over $1,000 a month. Instant approvals with fast transfers. Get cash to consolidate all your debt and get a fresh start for the new year. Call Loan Pronto now and see how much you qualify for. Imagine this time a week from now, you could be completely credit card debt free. Don't wait. Get your cash fast. Call 619-207-4336 or loanpronto.com. That's 619-207-4336 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781. On approved credit, NMLSconsumeraccess.org. I joined San Diego Sports 760 ESAT cable pipe and leak detection to support Brady Children's Hospital this holiday season. Their stories of hope and healing for Brady Children's patients and families. Through the iHeartRadio Children's Gift Fund, 51555 or donate at radyfoundation.org/giveathon. And listen tomorrow and Thursday. You'll hear from Kevin Acee coming up at 5:30. Our Padres insider joined us from the winter meetings in Dallas earlier today. So we'll hear from Kevin Acee coming up in about 10 minutes or so. You look at what's going on here at the baseball winter meetings, and what are we waiting on, I guess, is my next question. Are we waiting on Corbin Burns here?
Corbin Burns is expected to make his decision by the end of the winter meetings. I think we're all keeping an eye on what Jurickson Profar is up to. Pete Alonso is a name out there, but it sounds like he's going to be returning to the Mets.
Why not?
Why would he?
Would you want a lot of money? Because they'll give it to you.
Yeah, and then now people ragging, making fun of the Mets lineup. Will look pretty nice with Pete Alonso in there, 35, 40 home run guy.
Alonso, Soto,
Vientos.
You can build off.
Well, Mark Vientos had like a breakout
postseason, right?
Postseason, and a really good season last year. So your top of the lineup for the Mets is Lindor, Soto, Alonso, Vientos. Is that who? Is that
how you pronounce it?
I don't know. Mark, hold on.
Mets roster. It might be Vientos. Yeah, it's Vientos. Mark Vientos.
Got that one.
Yeah. Yeah, you nailed that one, dude. You nailed that one.
But, and they need pitching, and now they're going to go out and try to get pitching.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Anyway.
Well, remember how you just read about the Dodgers? No, their number one priority is Sasaki.
Guess what? The Mets
top
priority
article at Mets.com is Mets eye Sasaki, Minaya, and Crochet.
Okay.
As focus turns to pitching. This is what you're up against. That's the problem with this business, especially in baseball. It's playing no limit, hold'em, and worried about your bank account. The people that are good at no limit, hold'em have no fear or regard for money.
No.
If you're thinking money at a no limit table, you're screwed. You've lost. And I'm not saying that's where they are, because I still think the Padres are positioned well enough. We just heard from AJ Preller. They're coming off a really nice year. Can it be replicated, though, with all these headwinds around you? I think it's a very legitimate question.
They have a good team on paper already. They have pieces. They are definitely not one of the worst teams in baseball.
Absolutely not. We love their bullpen. We talked about the other day. I mean, their bullpen's very good.
Bullpen's very good.
Some of the star power of the lineup is legitimate.
The top half of your lineup, 1 through 4, I like a lot if you kept Luis Arraez. Luis Arraez.
Merrill.
Yeah. Arraez, Tatis, Merrill, Machado.
Yep.
That's a great starting point.
Yep.
Great. Your bullpen. It's a great back end of the bullpen. Well, maybe not great, but it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Michael King
in the front end of your rotation, Cease, King, and Darvish right now
is good.
Very good. But when you have to take one of those pieces out, then it's hard. It makes things harder. And you're like, well, what we have right now is really good. Let's add to that.
Mm-hmm.
And they can add to it because they're unwilling to go past the CBT number, unwilling to do that for the on-field product. And I think that pisses a lot of people off, that the perception is right now, probably from a lot of people in the organization and a lot of fans, maybe all the fans, they're so close.
Just go put this team over the edge or whatever.
Why are we not doing that? Why are you sitting there talking about trading Dylan Cease when we were the odds-on favorite to win the World Series last year?
You want to know why? Because Manny Machado and Xander Bogaerts are signed through age 40 seasons, and so is Tatis. And you make one more reach deal, and you actually will rebuild somewhere along the line.
These aren't reach deals to keep Dylan Cease on the roster and to keep Michael King on the roster and to keep Luis Arraez on the roster. Those reaches?
Well, reaches would be if you go pay someone $190 million.
Well, they're not paying anybody $190 million.
Out of the Kings and Merrills and Ceases, if any of those three stay, someone's getting paid with a 1 and then multiple zeros.
Okay, well,
more than $1.
Well, not next year. I mean,
maybe
this off season. Are we just going to skip over next year?
No, we're not.
And if you re-sign Jurickson Profar, that's going to be an overpay for whoever gets him if he gets a 3-year, $50 million deal. But what's the alternative?
Right. Someone in your system or some scrap heap left fielder that won't match the productivity of Jurickson Profar.
And maybe it would work out. Maybe whoever they put in there for cheap turns out to have a Profar year or a Jackson Merrill year, and that would be freaking amazing. The likelihood of that happening is not very high.
Right. You're also asking Jurickson Profar to be Jurickson Profar again. You're also asking Jackson Merrill to be Jackson Merrill again.
That too.
And so there's some question marks in there now. Do I think, hey, listen, Tatis, there's a lot of good in there from Tatis.
Stay healthy.
He can stay on the field.
Yeah.
But we've said that also for 6 years. And he's entering his 7th season in the major leagues in 2025. So, yeah, no, I understand the fan perspective. Hey, we're close. Go do whatever is necessary to win. And I sense the frustration because we both spend a lot of time on social media. There's a lot of frustration centered at Eric Etzenda right now, right? Like from a year ago today to right now with Eric Etzenda, there's a lot of frustration pointed his way. And I think a lot of fans say, hey, 2 years ago, we were out there like these other teams. Why aren't we? We're nowhere to be seen. Like we're witness protection program right now, the San Diego Padres. That's what it feels like, I think, from a fan perspective. Like where are we? But to your point and to my point, they're in a good spot. Like the team is in a good spot.
Yeah.
They have good pieces. But
is the ownership going to allow
they
that?
have to have some level of activity here?
And Nathan Eovaldi getting 25 a year and Max Fried getting 27 a year.
Yep.
Michael King puts up another season like he did this past year. You can bet your ass that he's going to get that type of money. Ass. I'm going to say it a lot, John. There you go.
All right, let's hear from Kevin Acee, Padres insider from Dallas. His thoughts on Sasaki and Dylan Cease and Jurickson Profar next, Jon and Jim.
All right, this update is brought to you by Progressive. Day 2 of the winter meetings in Dallas. Nathan Eovaldi and the Texas Rangers are in agreement on a 3-year, $75 million contract. Earlier in the day, Max Fried and the Yankees agreed on an 8-year, $218 million contract there. Moving over to San Diego State football, announcing their conference home games next year. Colorado State, San Jose State, Wyoming, and Boise State will all visit San Diego at Snapdragon Stadium. And tomorrow night, San Diego State takes on Cal Baptist. 7 p.m. tip time. You can listen to that right here on San Diego Sports 760. And this update's been brought to you by Progressive.
If you missed it, great conversation earlier with Kevin Acee. Share it with you right now. He's at the winter meetings. There's so much going on. And we started the conversation with that on the activity level around baseball this week in Dallas, Texas.
Yes, and especially in comparison to, say, last year for sure, and some of the other ones where the winter meetings has got, a deserved bad rap as things don't happen here anymore. But they are happening, and that's good. Eventually it'll trickle down to the Padres, and I think it's good for the Padres that pitching prices are so high because all things considered, I'm sure you guys are going to get to it, all things considered, I think best case scenario is they can unload a pitcher to help build the rest of their team. Kind of use a pitcher like they used Juan Soto last year.
It's interesting you say that. So you reported earlier today in the UT that the Padres are exploring options. It could include the possibility of trading Dylan Cease, who's under control in 2025, isn't making a ton of money. What type of return do you think they could command for Dylan Cease?
Well, if you're talking about a left fielder that is major league ready, maybe even as a major leaguer, you're talking about probably also prospects that maybe you could then flip to, either get more prospects, like different prospects, or get somebody else because they have needs while needing to maybe not necessarily trim payroll, but trim from what right now, if they were to keep everybody and then also try to sign Roki Sasaki and a left fielder. I mean, they can't afford to do that. They just can't. There are budgetary concerns, just like there were last year, by the way, that they had that Juan Soto chip, right? And that helped them do a lot. And so while they are taking calls on a lot of people, Michael King included, the one that's the most serious, the one that where I have actually heard from people with other teams that think they're motivated to, with C. That's the one that can get you a real return to help you.
Mike Shildt the other day talked about parameters that AJ Preller has to deal with. Is this offseason, in an offseason where they are still in a compete now mode? They were, as I'm sure they probably thought, very close last year. They felt like that was maybe the team that was going to do it. Does it feel like this offseason is one of the most difficult for Preller with not a lot of resources to have at his disposal?
I think really the difference between this year and last year is they have a better roster, but don't have Juan Soto to trade. That's the difference. They trimmed $100 million from their payroll last year, and it was more than that at the start of the season. So, I think the difference this year, you didn't come into it with this gigantic chip that was going to be able to, if you did it right, and Preller did do it right, was to be able to get you a bunch of players. And then obviously you resort to get Dylan Cease, and then have Michael King contribute, have Randy Vasquez contribute, have Gasioka contribute. I think that we should feel better about the team that they have. I think their bullpen's very good. They've got some core players. Looks like Manny Machado is Manny Machado for now. Fernando Tatis Jr. There's lots to be positive about, but with similar holes to last year, that there's no guarantee that you're going to find yourself a Jurickson for $1 million or anywhere close to it, as a matter of fact. And there's no guarantee you're going to find yourself a Donovan Solano, a David Peralta, that, all the guys they ended up adding in the middle of the year, Luis Arraez. Of course, Luis Arraez is already on their roster. But yes, it's a paring down, but that's what it was last year. That's the reality of the Padres now.
Kevin Acee is our Padres insider on San Diego Sports 760. He's with us right now on Jon and Jim. Well, it's interesting. The idea of trading Dylan Cease, would that then lead you down a path that they have a level of confidence that they can backfill by trading for a starter, or there's some level of confidence in Roki Sasaki? Because I just asked the question, Kevin, and to your point, I think a lot of people were down on the Juan Soto trade, the idea of trading Juan Soto, but they won 93 games and they competed in the National League postseason as well. It seems like it doesn't run in parallel, trading Dylan Cease and being a contender. So if you trade Dylan Cease, how do you backfill a rotation that wouldn't have Cease or Musgrove as well?
Well, you better get some other guys, right? So Roki Sasaki, you do try and trade. They have a certain amount of confidence, and it's part of what I'm investigating now. Who would they be looking at? Is it internally where you're going to give Adrian Morejon another shot? I haven't heard anything to convince me that that's the case, but I'm trying to take it down a road of that like where they try to find something where the last 2 years they've had the Seth Lugo, the Michael Walker reclamation project, Michael King stepping up, those sorts of things that do they find someone, and I know that's not going to make anybody reassure anybody who's like, oh no, getting rid of Dylan Cease, this is a big deal. But like the reality is they need something to be able to turn around, and you're saving money ostensibly, or at least you're trading one guy who you're going to pay $15 million for multiple guys to fill multiple holes for similar money, and that's what I believe that they're looking to do. I believe that's what they have to do.
Kevin, it feels like their confidence level on getting and landing Roki Sasaki is very, very high. Do you think that is that the case?
I felt like that for a long time. That it's as high as it could be. Not. I think that it can definitely be read into way too much what Mike Shildt said yesterday, and that would be someone that would either not familiar with or is setting aside Mr. Positive, the way that Mike Shildt talks. And so, of course, there's going to be a billion about their chances to get Roki Sasaki. But just when I say that, that doesn't mean that he's not confident, that they're not confident, because Mike Shildt's confidence would come from people in the personnel department, because Mike Shildt wouldn't be involved in all that. So absolutely, they're confident. They have a lot of things going for them. And then further today, if you want to read into some of the things that Joel Wolf, Sasaki's agent, said, though still they could be read in way too much, because the bottom line is Joel Wolf said, I haven't really got with my client quite yet on all of these specifics. And Joel Wolf's a pretty straightforward guy. So I don't want to give anybody too much hope, but I think the fact is the Padres are absolutely confident about this, and they believe, and others believe, that there's good reason for that.
Well, don't you think, a fan base, it's fragile times, coming off of the 24 scoreless innings against the Dodgers and all the talk about lowering payroll again, and then you have your manager come out and say, yeah, we expect Sasaki to be with the Padres next year. I mean, that's kind of setting it up for, I know the Shiltisms that you talked about, but as a normal fan, they're looking at this and thinking to themselves, Kevin, man, we got Roki Sasaki. And if that doesn't happen, that's not going to be, I feel like, a good look.
Well, again, that's on anyone who read too much into what Mike Shildt said. I mean, look, you got to have confidence. Mike Shildt later went on. I didn't hear the radio interview. I saw what he said. I heard that part of it. I don't think he expanded on it on the radio, but later when speaking here, he expanded to basically he's trying to sell the Padres to Roki Sasaki and outlining all the things that are good about the Padres. And he acknowledged, he doesn't know. He doesn't know. But yes, that's Mike Shildt. Go back. We can find a bunch of things that it sounds like Mike Shildt saying more than he is. Because he is so positive. And I give him credit for being willing to talk about it, as opposed to Dave Roberts, who would not talk about Roki Sasaki at all. Of course, Dave Roberts learned his lesson last year, I guess, when he at the winter meetings, he talked about Shohei Ohtani and got a lot of blowback. So maybe that'll be Mike Shildt next year. But look, they're extremely confident, and they're in the game. And fortunately for them, he's coming when he's 23 years old and only has 4 years of experience versus 25 with 6 years of experience, because then he would be out of their price range. So this is a really good thing. Middle of January will be a very interesting and exciting time for Padres and their fans.
What's the market, Kevin? Final one for me is what's the market look like for Jurickson Profar? Is there a scenario where the Padres are able to retain him, or is it out of their price range?
there is a scenario. I don't know that it's a real clear market right now, other than to say that you would expect, and the people I've talked to, and that does not include AJ Preller or Dan Lozano, his agent, but people, around that the market is, a couple of years at 15 or more, and that's out of the Padres range.
Kevin, we appreciate it. We know it's really busy. Great insight, great reporting. We enjoyed your work earlier today in the Union Tribune, and safe travels, and thanks for hopping on with us here in San Diego.
Right on, guys. Always. See you.
All right, Kevin Acee from earlier from, again, the winter meetings in Dallas. Biggest takeaway or takeaways?
And takeaways?
Biggest takeaway after listening back to us talk to Kevin?
That the likelihood of Jurickson Profar coming back here, it gets lower and lower by the day.
You think we're getting close to Profar just signing somewhere because there's going to be a level of interest and it's the winter meetings and we'll see, boom, 3 years, 45 somewhere?
Well, if Profar doesn't sign within the next couple weeks here,
then maybe you get him back.
Maybe you can get him back for a lower price.
Has he learned his lesson? He waited it off so long. You got to go sign.
I think one of these teams that don't land the top outfielding, the team that was who's ever in on Teoscar Hernandez, if they don't land Teoscar Hernandez, they might go to then Jurickson Profar.
Right. Okay, so maybe waiting for the market to set in front of him to then get paid.
Right. That's how I think it's going to be. But the Tyler O'Neill deal today.
Yeah. What was the deal?
3 for $49.5.
So Profar's sitting pretty.
Yeah. The AAV.
Again, Conforto the other day,
17
million. I mean, Profar is going to walk away with 15 for multiple years, as in 15 per year for multiple years, or maybe more in a 1 or 2 year deal per year.
And as you heard there from Kevin Acee, that the word is that's kind of the starting price for an outfielder now, especially one that just came off an all-star season.
Yep. And
the Padres are not going there with him. Now, would that be a major bummer? Yeah, but I also kind of respect that. Just in a box, just the Jurickson Profar, giving him that much money for multiple years, it might turn out to not be a good deal because you got the best year of Jurickson Profar's career for $1 million. It's
gonna be weird.
But then they don't have another option. That's the problem.
Profar to the Yankees, following Soto's footsteps back-to-back years.
If the Yankees got Profar and they already got Fried, and if they go out and get a first, they could, probably be a better team next year.
Yeah, I mean, again, they saved $760 by not getting Soto, and now they've just spent $218, but that leaves hundreds of millions potentially for them to spend this offseason. All right, here until 6 p.m., back tomorrow at 2 p.m. Jim's Back Page is next. We haven't given away the Jerry Seinfeld.
Way to bury the whole entire league, John.
Oh my gosh.
It's hard when you have
ratings bonanza.
it's like when your show is built around content, not prizes. Sometimes it's like,
Should we do it? But should we do it? I mean,
absolutely, it's a huge prize.
Caller 7, you're going right now to see Jerry Seinfeld, Jim Gaffigan, amazing holiday gift. Pachanga Arena, March 27th at 7:30. So March 27th, caller 7, you're going. 877-767-4760. Call right now. Treat yourself this holiday season. See them together. Tickets at AXS.com. You can also win a pair just by listening to us. And again, we'll have opportunities to win throughout the course of the weekend. Right now, caller 7 to 877-767-4760. How about that? Jerry Seinfeld, Jim Gaffigan, Pachanga, March 27th. That's a holiday gift. All right, lines are loaded.
Lit.
Brent, get to it.
So for the last couple of weeks, The Wizard of Oz, Wicked, it's the #1 movie in the world, along with Moana 2. I mean, it's a huge deal right now. It's all over my timeline. Aaron sings the songs every night.
Okay.
But The Wizard of Oz, back in 1939, was one of the biggest movies ever, right? And all this memorabilia or memorabilia.
Right. I remember when they released it in 39. That was huge.
It was a great year, right?
Oh,
is popping back up.
Okay. From the original.
From the original film. A lot of stuff isn't I guess available anymore because it's so old. Like there was a warehouse that had a bunch of stuff in it that burned down, and so it was lost. But the original ruby red Dorothy slippers from The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, they're like sparkle.
Yeah.
Like the color movie.
Right.
When it goes from black and white to color.
Yeah. And the reason why they had red slippers instead of the original silver slippers is because they wanted it to pop.
Oh, it popped.
It popped.
Yeah.
It sold the original pair of slippers sold in an auction for a record price of $32.5 million.
So come on. $32 million for the red slippers?
32 million.
How? I mean, it's that iconic, I guess.
Dude, the ruby red slippers from The Wizard of Oz.
I can still kind of see how bright that is on screen. But I mean on screen, you know.
Oh, on screen it was everything.
It was super bright. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you know that they weren't originally red? Like they're like in the books, they're not red, they're silver.
Jim, I spent so much time looking at analytical college basketball sites. No. I don't have time for the stupid slippers in my brain.
Why not?
Because my brain is filled with things like UC Davis to the Mountain West.
You got it in the show. Good job. You had to get it in the show.
Had to.
You could not go an entire 4 hours of radio without talking about UC Davis entering the freaking Mountain West Conference.
Actually, let's do an extra. We'll do a bonus hour.
Dude, I could see it. You've been looking at stuff
I'm looking at stuff all night.
All you've been doing during the breaks. All you've been doing during breaks is looking at freaking UC Davis stuff. Dude. You texted me that today, and I was like, I don't care.
I know you don't.
Like literally,
it's my back page.
I know it is.
It's my front page.
Since we did not have a back page yesterday, I did not get to because we were out early. I did not get to the crumble cookies of the week.
Okay.
The crumble cookies of the week are these peanut butter cup featuring a Reese's.
Peanut butter. That sounds amazing.
Amazing. A eggnog tres leches cake. Yeah.
Okay.
Raspberry butter cake cookie.
Mm-hmm.
A cookies and cream cookie.
Yes.
A brookie pie. This one sounds amazing.
Okay.
And I am now contemplating going to Crumble Cookie to get this.
Tonight.
Okay. Brent, what do you think of this from Crumble Cookie? A cinnamon toast crunch cookie. He doesn't like it.
No?
Semi-sweet chocolate chunk and a cowboy cookie. I don't know what that is.
You missed the first one. There was tell them the Reese's peanut butter one.
Peanut butter cup featuring Reese's.
I need more description on that. Same with the cinnamon toast crunch one. Is it do they do over at Randy's where it's their cinnamon toast crunch donut is they just put pieces of cereal on top of a donut and
right,
then go,
or is it the full cookie? Is it actually?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
It's a brown sugar cookie.
It's like a snickerdoodle.
With Yeah, snickerdoodle cookie with white sugar frosting and caramelized.
Okay.
Cinnamon
Yeah,
toast
I would
crunch
eat
with
that. I just didn't know if it was one of those where it's just like, oh, here's just a plain cookie and we put some cereal on top of it. Now it's a cinnamon toast crunch cookie. So
This peanut butter cup cookie
You got pick?
looks like a peanut butter cookie with like frosting and chocolate.
Yeah, that
and-
looks good. Show that to Brian. That looks good.
oh yeah,
That looks really good.
I would eat that in a
Pick those
second.
up.
See, I didn't know if it was one of those like, like your grandma or somebody would make where they'd take like the
in
cookie
the
and
middle?
then put the peanut butter cup
Now
in
we're
the middle.
talking.
Those are awesome.
Yep.
I love those.
Those are really good.
Burger King is bringing back some favorites this holiday season starting on December 19th. They're bringing back 5 favorites.
Okay.
I don't know if these are actually favorites, but whatever. The BK Melt is returning with churro fries, fiery chicken fries, shrooms and Swiss sandwich, and a classic melt sandwich.
Okay.
So 3 melts, some fiery chicken fries, and churro fries all dropping at Burger King on December 19th.
I probably won't be there.
Okay.
I like apple fries. I've never had them, but it sounds good.
Apple fries?
Like, right? Like breaded apple
What?
fry. What am I thinking?
Apple fries?
No, seriously, isn't there something like that? At
Where?
a fair?
Like Tofu
Where
Central?
you have like you dip it in like caramel?
What?
No.
Like the apple that's dipped in caramel at the fair with the stick in it. It's a giant apple.
Is that what I'm
Caramel apples?
No, I mean like just a piece of an apple is like a fry.
Apple fries.
Never heard of them? I'm making them up.
Okay.
I'm gonna open up the
They're
1,000
called
locations.
apple slices, John.
All right. You got about 90 seconds left. Do your take on UC Davis.
That's not enough time.
I'm giving you 90 seconds.
All I'm saying is, here's what I'll say, and this is why John needs a front page.
You have a little more than that.
I need John's front page at 2:45. What do you think if I do that?
Okay.
And it'll just be like UC Davis to the Mountain West.
I won't listen, and like you
Right,
don't listen
I
to
don't
this.
listen to yours. Exactly.
Perfect.
So, guys, what the Mountain West is not going to look like the Pac-12 when this thing is all said and done. You got UC Davis and UTEP, and who else is in that league basketball-wise? They had a Grand Canyon, but UC Davis and UTEP. Like, are people going to the Thomas and Mack at Vegas to watch UC Davis UNLV basketball? Are people going to go watch UTEP UNLV basketball football?
So what you're saying is people
I'm saying, like, this
people
is a
that are
fall off.
people that are crying and saying that the Pac-12 is just a
See how it's all coming together. Like, you have Gonzaga and San Diego State basketball league, you have football league, you have Boise State. Like, these things are not equal. Boise State's a 3-seed college football playoff. UTEP is what?
Washington State,
UC
Oregon
Davis.
State,
I'm sorry, like
Fresno.
UC Davis. What? I don't know anything about their men's basketball history. It's not overly significant. So that's my take. You'll hear it on John's top page in the future. All right, if you missed this show, it's a really good show. It included Kevin Acee. Check it out at sportssc.com or the iHeartRadio app or iTunes, Spotify. We're back tomorrow with the Brady Children's Give-A-Thon at 2 p.m. Brett and Jim, I'm John. Keep it here. Sports 760. Who's up?